Podcast, episode 172. And we're doing it again. We're doing it one more time. I actually got my wish. I mean, I said last week, I go, man, you guys got to come back just for a straight up BS show. And as luck and fate would have it, Brandon's stuck in PA and is not going to be here again. So hopefully he's here next week. We'll deal with whatever it is. But we were lucky enough to have Brian and Jamie Sammons come back for a part 2. But this is the BS edition. So welcome back, guys. And thank you again for jumping in last minute.
Well, thank you again.
And sorry, Jamie, I was interrupted.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you again.
The star of the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, the star. Yeah. And it's funny because we were talking about it being a BS show, and Brian's like, well, that's kind of what we did at the beginning. But that's all we do today. Now, when there's no movie reviews to get in the way, we just talk about everything and anything. It doesn't even have to be horror related, although most people prefer that. But we've talked about everything. But again, welcome back.
Thank you so much. We had such a good time last week, and I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do it again. I had no idea it was going to be this soon. But when the opportunity arose, I jumped on it because it was so much fun. Plus, I have had just a Dave Z-filled weekend.
Yeah.
Because we recorded yesterday.
I'm sorry.
See, the first thing out of your mouth, you're an asshole. That's why I'm the approachable one. But
what did you record yesterday?
We did the
ABC
Skeleton Crew 10th anniversary show.
Oh, yeah.
Big surprise.
Nice.
Yeah. But this won't be out before that because that drops on April 2nd, the Skeleton Crew show. So that's why it's okay to say that.
Put this out April 1st.
April Fools, motherfuckers. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're having a blast. It was great last week. We got this, and yesterday with Jamie, that was a BS episode in itself because there was no review. It was just answering questions and talking about shit and everything else. But it's just so easy to do. It's just so easy to do with the people you can do it with because you can keep going. And even if we ever ran out of topics, I have stuff written down here. I always have it prepared. But I mean, it is. I'm just happy. I'm just happy.
10 years.
Time. Yeah, 10 years of the Skeleton Crew. I mean, it hasn't been 10 years solid. Although Jamie be better to answer the question. Was there a year that there was nothing released at all, or no?
21. I don't think there was anything out in 21. Was there?
Shit, I don't know.
No,
what about the Halloween thing?
That we didn't do Halloween 21. We did Halloween 20, and then I think the next thing we did was the Scream review, which was January, and then the three of us did Texas Chainsaw when that came out. I think that's it, unless I'm forgetting things, which I'm old. That happens.
Well, 2020, you might be right. There may not have been a release. That's interesting. I mean, they're not an actual Skeleton Crew release. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now Alex has been doing Bare Bones, and he's been doing that pretty consistently. And which, by the way, if people out there have not listened to that, but were Skeleton Crew fans, I think he does a really good job. I enjoy listening to him do his solo cast.
Yeah, it's great. And it's not easy to do. And it's like, that's the problem with the Horophilia shutdown, is that when a show goes down, that was...
Horophilia.
Like it's a big business.
Shutdown.
Yeah. But that is the issue.
The Lehman Brothers or whatever the hell that company was. There's a bunch of layoffs.
The shutdown, yeah.
The Woodsboro brothers are still looking for work.
It's true, too. So, but that's the issue. Horophilia goes down in a lot of people. First of all, even though we gave them numerous warnings, I did on this show, they did on their shows, I still have people messaging me saying, hey, whatever happened to? And I'm like, well, if you were listening to all the shows, we told people several times in the groups and the shows that it's shutting down this day. You're going to have to look for us on a new feed, either on this network or solo or whatever. But I think some people didn't know that when the skeleton crew went down on that one, like the other shows did, that Alex eventually started a new one to do Skeleton Bones, and then he eventually uploaded everything to the show. Oh, which reminds me, Christian, did you not for some reason put the Halloween 3 review with Wazell on the YouTube? Was that left out for some reason?
No, there was a chunk of quote unquote back catalog that hadn't been uploaded, if you remember, because it had the old music, and we kept getting the copyright infringement warning. So then I had to fix it, re-download it. It's just
a process.
Yeah, it's not like horribly like, I guess it doesn't take a long time to do, but I'm doing them in chunks. That's why, I don't know, a few like a month or two ago, there was like 5 old episodes that were released, because from between episode 12 and 26, none of them had been released onto YouTube yet. So that's episode number 23, if I remember correctly.
It is 23, but somebody asked me, somebody asked us. It was a comment made on the YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked.
Yeah, so coming soon. I got 5 more episodes to release.
Oh, whatever. I just thought I thought you were going to say, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
What's happened? You guys in an airplane?
Yeah, someone got the Nightmare on Elm Street tape that Johnny Depp was playing. Yeah.
Who, us?
Somebody.
I don't. It sounds like something's happening.
Yeah, it was a plane tape.
Sounds like you're either vacuuming the phone or you guys were on a plane.
No, we're just sitting
Maybe
here.
it was us.
I didn't hear anything.
Weird.
No.
You guys didn't hear that?
It is on our end. No.
Wow, that's crazy.
That was so odd. Yeah, you obviously gave her it too. It was crazy. It didn't sound like the Nightmare on Elm Street. The Nightmare on Elm Street tape.
I'm telling you.
No screaming though.
Right.
Weird. Well, while ago, my Skype randomly shut down, and I had to jump back in. So I don't know. But maybe it is on our end, but I didn't hear anything. Anyway, how are you doing this morning?
Well, you sound fine now.
I haven't let you see.
Yeah. He's been so quiet.
I know. What's up?
That's typical for us. I'm doing okay. A little tired. I slept like hell last night, but oh well. Here I am, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Let's do this thing.
Your tail is kind of bushy this morning.
It always is.
So yesterday we watched Home Sweet Home because Dave brought it up, and I was like, I have been trying to get Brian to watch that movie with me for years.
Thanks for that, Dave. Thanks.
And he doesn't. He never wants to. He's just like, no. So yesterday, after we finished recording, Brian was working, and I was sitting over there trying to see, and we don't own it because Brian doesn't like it. So I was trying to see if I could find a good copy of it to watch somewhere streaming, and the only thing I could find was on YouTube. So I was just kind of flipping through to see if it was okay to watch, and I had my volume really low because he was working. But he's like, "What are you watching?" And so I just held up my phone real quick, and at the scene, it was in the very beginning of the movie, and the scene was just all he saw was the back of a station wagon. That is it. Like, I held up my phone, he saw the back of a station wagon. He goes, is that Thanksgiving movie, Home Sweet Home? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did you know that? And I know for a fact he hasn't seen the movie in at least a decade because we've never watched it together, and he doesn't really like it. So I know that he hasn't seen it recently.
Oh, I don't blame him.
Just from the back of a steering wheel, just from the back of the station wagon, he knew exactly what movie it was. And that is why I am married to this man sitting next to me. I just think that is so hot. I love that.
Dude.
That was in the vows.
That's all I got to do to get you revved up. That's awesome.
Damn.
Home Sweet Home every night.
Right.
No porn for you guys. We'll just put on Home Sweet Home. Check out that station wagon.
I can't believe
I watched
it.
it, though. Yeah.
And to be clear,
That's
you gave
awesome.
it a 2 out of 5. I gave it a 2.5
Yes, I know.
out of 5.
I know.
So I like it more than you.
It's not good.
No, it's not.
Well, let me tell you this. I am going, when I get on my Letterboxd, I am going to put a 2 out of 5 on it. However, the experience I had, the three of us watching it together, it was a 4.5 out of 5 experience. It was one of the funnest times we've had watching an 80s slasher, a bad 80s slasher, we were laughing the whole fucking time. There was always something. See, that's what I'm saying. It's not something I could ever watch by myself, because that's why I put it in that category. I'm not expecting to be able to sit there and watch them myself and enjoy them. I'm expecting to revisit the 80s like we did when we were back then, and watch the movie and fucking and crack up at shit. And holy, there's a lot to laugh at. I mean, the movie, it starts right away, right into this crazy thing. Half the time you can't hear what people are saying. So half the time you can't see what you're supposed to be seeing.
Anything.
But that was the charm. See, that was the 80s. That was the fun of it with the VHS. Believe me, that's what made a bad movie good.
I can't see or hear anything, but this is charming.
4.5 out of 5.
Well, because you'd be debating about what it was. You'd be like, wait a minute. I think that was a banana. No. Rewind. Hold on a second. Oh, that's a knife. You see it?
I think that was a banana.
I love that's his go-to.
Knife or banana? Knife or banana? I don't know, but either way, it's a slippery situation.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Oh, man. That was the one with the wrestler, correct? And it's like, it couldn't be more of a Halloween ripoff. Obviously, station wagon, him going home.
Body
And
by Jake.
really bad carnage.
He looked like a Lou Ferrigno. So he was a wrestler? I didn't even realize that he was.
It was Jake Steinfeld, the Body by Jake guy.
I don't know if he ever did wrestling, but he used to be big into
weightlifting.
That was it.
Weightlifting and like aerobicize and exercise and stuff. He was like a Jane Fonda.
Oh, I remember Body by Jake. I remember that title and hearing it. He kind of looked like, there was a couple scenes we paused it. It was so funny because he actually looked like in the third act, he looked like, if you just see the bottom half of his face, he looked like Sly Stallone. It was so fucking funny. I'm telling you, the things he was doing, and he was laughing for no reason. And the shit.
Oh, the maniacal laughter is great. Dude. That first scene in the very beginning where he yanks the guy out of the station wagon, like, and beats the shit out of him. I thought he looked like Lou Ferrigno in that scene, like when he's reaching through the window. But it's bad. It's not a good movie at all. But it was made by a woman, which I think is cool. It was directed by a woman, and
So is it a feminist slasher? Anytime a woman writes a movie in the slasher genre, it's a feminist slasher. No,
I don't.
No, that's not.
Just a slasher. But I thought that was neat. That's just a little piece of trivia that I found out. I didn't know that until yesterday. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I would have had no idea either, to be honest.
What else there was something else we watched. What was it that you picked that?
Madman.
No. Before that, the slasher.
Oh, the slasher? Oh, damn. Well, let me look it up.
It was
Let me guess. Destroyer. Remember that one?
Oh,
Destroyer
with the jackhammer. Yeah.
Yeah, the jackhammer in the front.
The Zero Boys.
Yeah, with
it's from '86. It has Kelly Maroney in it.
Oh,
you ever see
it? Nico. What's his name?
He directed it.
Yeah. Dave, you did see it because I remember talking about this either when we did the '86 show for 22 Shots or just randomly on here. I'm almost positive you saw it too. It's a nice little, it's a good flick. It is worth checking out if you haven't seen it.
Movie. These kids make the dumbest decisions about everything. I was just going, nobody would do that. That's what the whole time I'm watching the movie.
But Jamie,
this was one I had never seen before. I didn't even know anything about it. It's charming. I had never even heard of it, and so Brian showed me that one. And it actually looks good. I think that a lot of the camera work is the cinematography is really just straight up beautiful in some places.
Yeah, as opposed to Home Sweet Home, you can actually see what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
it's not as charming, but.
I do wish that they had that whole banana swerve in there though. Like that
they used the zucchini and that wasn't the same.
That shit was funny though. That's what I'm saying about Home Sweet Home. We had so much, and by the charm, we're laughing at it the whole time. And and I've said it several times in the '80s when they made the movies, that a lot of them ended up being so bad it's good. They weren't trying to be so bad it's good.
No,
they were trying to put out movies, and that's the fun of it because we know that they're just trying to put out a slasher, right? It's '81, and we're like if I see a movie labeled horror comedy, I'm expecting it to be some intentional fucking ha-has, which may or may not work. I would rather watch a movie like Home Sweet Home, which
Mhm.
And it worked that way where we can mention Home Sweet Home, the three of us, and it's good memories. We had a great time watching it the other night. This happened, that.
There's four of us. Oh, you mean when you watched? Oh, you guys, that was what you watched together? You did like a watch together, or was this years ago that you did the watch together?
No. I made and I should read the list because somebody's asked me. A few people have asked me about the list, and I said, let me listen back to the show and see if I mentioned the movies. And apparently I haven't, so I'm going to read them. But no, I saved these movies specifically because, first of all, they're 80s slashers that I either haven't seen or don't remember have seeing them. Like there's a good chance I rented them in the 80s and just it was a one and done and never thought about it again by seeing the title. What do I know? So I saved them, and I'm expecting maybe one or two to be a diamond in the rough, maybe. But that's not really what I'm watching them for. I'm watching them because of my love for 80s slashers and because I'm not going to watch them alone. It's just like the 80s again, where the same kid, Scott, who I rented all my movies with. It's no different than going to Video Factory in the 80s and renting a video and coming home and watching a movie and freaking cracking up. And then my brother is in on it too. So it's like, it's the same thing. Okay, these are movies we've never seen before. Let's see them. They're slashers from the 80s. So we know, I'm not expecting it to be grand, but we're having such a time watching it. And that's the experience, is that it's fun when you can't.
I
People get
misunderstood you.
frustrated.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
You know, even if someone gets mad, it's funny.
Jamie and Brian, like a watch me party, the three of you. But you're talking about the three of you at your house. You watched it.
Yeah, he watched it Friday
Scott
night,
and your brother.
and
Yeah.
he mentioned it yesterday, which made me want to again approach Brian with watching it because I've been trying because it's a Thanksgiving movie, and we don't have any Thanksgiving. You know, we have very few Thanksgiving horror films. You know, there's Blood Rage. You know, but that's a holiday that you don't have a lot of. So I've been trying to get him to watch it with me, and he won't do it. He doesn't like it. Every year he's like, no. And so finally yesterday he was like, all right, go ahead. But see, he had already picked the Zero Boys. So that was his pick. So it was my pick. He didn't really have, he couldn't say no. I guess he could, but it wouldn't do him any good. But But anyway, so yeah, because Dave brought it up yesterday, I was like, "Ooh, I want to watch that." And it's not good. I get it now, Brian. I understand.
But that's just it. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't watch it as a serious movie. I'll probably never watch it again. But it's all about the experience of us three. Just it's Friday night. I'm buzzing. We're doing it. We're just having laughs during it. And then when it slows down, if there are boring points, we bullshit during them and this and that. And the thing is, here's the fucked up part, though. You said it was a Thanksgiving movie. And while, yes, they did have a turkey for a dinner that seemed to last 8 hours, I kept trying to have it. It never happened. But I do not recall them all saying that it was Thanksgiving. And I bet you if I texted Scott and Mike and say, did you know there was a Thanksgiving movie the other day? They would say no. So I don't remember them even saying.
Well, the guy on the radio, the DJ that you hear in the background, he even talks about Thanksgiving. Like it being Thanksgiving at one point. Yeah. I mean, it's not in your face.
Considered
But it does take place on Thanksgiving.
Isn't that crazy? It was just a wackadoo
It's like the birthday
movie.
And Happy Birthday to Me. If you watch the first hour of the movie, you're going to be like, why the hell is this called Happy Birthday to Me? Then hour 2, I think there's a mention of like a birthday party. I'm probably exaggerating because that's what I do, but I swear when you watch this movie, there's no mention of a birthday until like the second half.
Considered that, but I think you're right. I think the first time we hear about the birthday is when she's having the flashback about her mom driving her to the rich people house, and then being all drunk and it's raining and all of that. And it's her birthday party that they didn't come to. But yeah, I never even considered that. But that's one of those movies that I grew up, from as far back as I can remember after it came out. That movie has been, like on constant rotation in my life. So I don't even think about stuff like that. But you're right. It doesn't really, in the beginning, it doesn't seem very birthday-ish.
And I went like, it was in constant rotation. And I actually take that back. It wasn't in constant rotation, but I watched it a couple of times way back when. And then it was one of those ones that like years went by. And now I watch it definitely more consistently. Thanks to the Blu-ray that I got. I don't have the Arrow one. I've got that one that was like, in the retro VHS box look.
A good cover.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I love that cover. Is one of my all-time favorite horror covers because it used to scare the shit out of me when I'd walk into the video store when I was a kid. That one, Maniac, and My Bloody Valentine. They were like boom, 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 and I remember just being like mesmerized as you're walking in, looking at all three of those posters.
That My Bloody Valentine one with the
Yeah.
globe on top and them dancing.
Yeah,
and it's funny, I have all three of those things hanging in my house. Those three you mentioned. The fucking Maniac, My Bloody, the Happy Birthday to Me. Never scared me, Happy Birthday to Me, but I just thought it was badass. You know, it's just a badass cover, which that's why they're hanging up down here because it's a lost art. You know what I mean? It's so
Our My Bloody Valentine is hanging next to April Fool's Day.
Nice.
Which bit of trivia was the first movie Brian and I ever watched together.
Aw.
Yeah.
April Fool's Day, nice.
It was always one of my favorites. That's another one I saw at the drive-in with my mom, and it was just a movie that I've always loved. I feel like there are I won't even say obscure because horror fans know them, but like everybody, even like mainstream people know Nightmare on Elm Street. They know Friday the 13th. You know, the big titles, they've heard them at least, even if they've never seen them.
Yeah.
Even if they look at a picture of Michael Myers and call him Jason, they at least have heard the titles.
That's my family. Yeah.
But so
Disown
the
them.
more like slightly more obscure ones that used to come on TV all the time on the weekends that I watched over and over and over again were like My Bloody Valentine, April Fool's Day, Happy Birthday to Me. And those were those movies that would come on like Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, and I would always drop everything and watch them.
I love the fact that we're talking slashers, and we're going to continue to do this for a while because, hey, I think we all love them. I have talked about this on the show before, and I'm interested to hear you guys of what you thought. I think I know Dave. Sleepaway Camp. Now, he's talking about Home Sweet Home. Now, that's a movie I used to put on when I was a kid, thinking, oh my God, this movie is a fucking train wreck, and we'd laugh at it all the way through. And I used to think like, oh, no one could think that this movie's good. And only flash forward, 20 years later, maybe even longer, and this horror community, and people put it up on a pedestal, saying it's one of their favorite horror movies of '83, if not their favorite. And I'm like, whoa. Now, I've definitely come around quite a bit in the last 5 years, but I'm still hovering maybe at like a 7 out of 10 range or 7.5 out of 10 tops. But I could appreciate it more now. But I was really like, that was our Laugh Riot movie. When I was younger. You want to have a laugh? Let's put Sleepaway Camp on.
I always liked Sleepaway Camp. It was actually back in the day when I was a wee little one, the first two horror movies, and I'm talking about not Saturday afternoon, black and white, 1950 creature feature stuff that was on TV, but the first two real uncut horror films I ever watched was Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and Sleepaway Camp. And that is what got me into horror. That those movies literally made me the man I am today. We saw them, my brother and I.
Like Angela.
I was good. I was like, there's an Angela joke in there.
We saw it with our cousins, and when I came home, I was just crazy for horror films. I started going to the video store immediately and just renting. And so I've always had a special place in my heart for that movie. Now, admittedly, when I first saw it, I was so young, or maybe such white bread, suburban boy or whatever. I didn't understand it at the end. Sheltered, yeah. I was like, why does this chick, I don't understand what's going on, but it was creepy as hell, I thought.
But you were also a kid, too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was actually in my early 20s the first time I saw Sleepaway Camp. That was a later one for me. And I didn't know anything about it. I rented it from the video store. My roommate and I sat down and watched it. And I have to say, when it got to the end and you get that still shot and the music is just like, dun, dun, it legitimately scared me. because the
Well, that
rest of the
ending.
movie, I was laughing through the rest of the movie,
Yeah.
and we were having fun with it. And then you get to the end, and I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was great. It was a really great experience, and I've loved it ever since then. Yeah.
I just love the sound she's making at the end.
I know that is creepy. That gets under my skin.
That is creepy.
And there's
What?
something so unnatural about the fact that the shot is still, and and for obvious reasons. And I think they did a good job with it considering budget and everything. But it's uncanny. Like there's something weird about it, and that paired with the sounds, I wasn't expecting that. Like I wasn't expecting something that just hardcore based off of what we had just watched, and how comical some of it was. And
my mind was still reeling about the cop with the electrical tape on his lip to pretend to be a mustache.
Now wait.
No one cares if he has a mustache or not.
Right.
That's what I
That
said.
mustache is one of the funniest fucking mustaches in cinematic history. I don't care if that statement itself is crazy, but it is ridiculous. When he comes on screen, you can't not laugh.
Yeah, and I think if he hadn't had the mustache in the second time you see him, maybe I wouldn't have noticed. But what I damn straight did notice was how fake the replacement mustache was. And it seriously, at least when I used to watch it on VHS, it looks like a piece of electrical tape just stuck on the top of his lip. And I was like, what is going on? And they do that. There's like a scene where they hover on his reaction.
Well, they give him a close-up when he comes out of the
I'm
cabin.
like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Why are you closing in on that? That is so bad. But I mean, that movie is so quotable too.
Yes.
I'm all the time. We'll just be doing random, just say random bullshit. But I'll just be like, oh no, not you, Meg.
You can't be.
I had him and I let him go. That's bad.
So this is the thing about Sleepaway Camp. Okay, Brian, how old were you when you did see it? I may have missed that part.
I was probably 10. I might have been 11.
Wow.
But I was definitely before I was a teenager.
That's still pretty young. Okay, now I have my story about it, but it reminded me of Frankie, and I recorded it and I played it on the show. And I can't find it because I didn't label it. I don't want to go through 15 memos. I don't know what they're going to be. But it was funny when she saw it because I showed it to her. Now she's 15 now, and I showed it to her almost 16. So in this very house. So I want to say that I showed it to her 2 to 3 years ago. So she's probably 13, maybe going on 14. Either way, I showed it to her, and she didn't even react to the fact that she had a dick. Her reaction was, because I think I asked, I wish I could find it, but I didn't label it. But her reaction, she was like, why is her face just like that? That was her that was her takeaway, because her face made that way, and it held on that same face because it was a mold. It wasn't really. Right. So that was her takeaway. Not that she's a he, or it's just like, why is her face like that? It's like, okay, it's a different generation, I guess, and it was shocking, but I got a kick out of that because I show her things, wanting to see what their takes are going to be, and like she never like falls for jump scares and shit. And like she calls them before they happen. She's like, oh, jump scares coming. So she's so into seeing it so much. And plus growing up in this generation where they're so choreographed when you're seeing new movies that you can totally tell. But she could even see old movies. And like when I showed her Friday and Friday 2 for the ending sequences and stuff. And one time she acknowledged it. One time when Jason's hand comes through the window when Ginny's doing the pull back thing, she's pulling on the door and Jason's hand comes through, she went, whoa. That was it. That was the only time she, to any of the jump scares in that movie, to the big finales of any of the shit that I've shown her, she's just been like, oh, okay. Nothing, it's so weird. I don't know if it's her or it's her generation, but.
Well, maybe it's just because she's been watching them so much. I don't know. I mean, you are raising a seasoned horror fan.
Yeah, So maybe I've spoiled her that. I mean, but then again, we watched the same movies at the same times when we were young. You know, we the stuff
There's certain jump scares that survive time, but I don't think all of them do. I mean, again, like anything, right? They become kind of spoiled based on like seeing more modern films, and I think the conventions have changed a bit. So when you go back to the old ones, a cat jumping out of a closet's not necessarily gonna freak them out.
No,
and I don't know if that scare at the end with the dick is really a jump scare. It's more freaky, like what the fuck is going on, and why is her dick bigger than mine?
What were we watching the other day where someone threw a cat at somebody? I mean, not in the movie. It was off screen, but the way the cat came flying at somebody, it was clear that somebody had thrown it at him.
Was it Friday 5?
Was it?
Or 2. Friday 2. It's like when that cat comes through the window.
Yeah. Oh, in the beginning?
But no, I think it was Friday 5 when she's in the restaurant.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Oh, yeah. And Brian's like, poor kitty. It just
yeah, that was
they
her.
love the cats.
I think I saw her.
Where did that cliche stop? What movie? The It's Showtime girl?
Yeah, I think I saw her in a horror movie, and I don't know what it was because I haven't watched many lately. But she was in it, and I was like, oh, how do you like that? That's her. But
a newer one or something from back then?
No, something from back then. And was she in Chopping Mall by any chance?
No.
I don't think so, no.
We actually just watched that the other day because it was the anniversary of the release date earlier this week.
Yep.
Oh, was it?
Shopping Mall.
Fuck.
Oh,
Not that I
Friday
need
5.
an
Yeah, I
excuse
saw you
to
guys
watch
posted
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you love it. And I
Well,
watched it the other day. Like 2 weeks ago, I showed it to my friends because we didn't see it in the 80s. Because, again, we were so discerning, and that goes back to my sleepaway. Number one, I knew it was a robot.
That is an awesome poster.
Discerning.
That poster is so badass.
It is, and I have it hanging up. It's not the poster itself. I didn't care about a robot. That's my line. Now, who cares about it?
That's what I was referencing in the last episode we were on when I was like, Dave's all the time like, I don't care about there was something, I wish I could remember what it was that you said about
bees from Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
I don't care about bees.
What do I care about bees?
What do I care about bees? What?
I don't know. I don't know.
Care about a robot?
Oh man.
I don't know why, but that does take me back. I didn't see Sleepaway in the 80s again because I just thought it was going to be a Friday the 13th ripoff. It's a camp. It's on the shelf, and I remember thinking, even though it's another one that I have hanging up now, it's a great fucking cover. But at the time, I'm thinking, okay, they show this cover with a sneaker, which is an odd thing, a knife going through a sneaker, and then I look on the back and it's a letter, and they're not showing any pictures from the movie. And I was thinking, for whatever reason, we just decided not to do it, mostly because we figured it was going to be a cheap knockoff of Friday. So I never watched it. And then when part 2 came out, that was the ultimate turnoff. Because anytime you see, anytime I would see in the 80s a horror movie that would compare itself to Friday and Nightmare or anything, like the fact that she had a Jason mask and Freddy's glove on a thing, I'm like, well, how good is this going to be? They're talking about these other fucking movies. It just seems like a cheap way to get people to watch a movie. And this is me at the age of fucking 12, and that's how I thought. It's just the way I felt. So so that was a bigger turnoff. I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch this. So I never watched them. And then when my ex bought the survival kit, she was like, oh, Sleepaway Camp, I love these. I was like, really? You love them? I go, I never saw them. And I'm 30 years old at the time. And then she bought them, and I watched Sleepaway. And like I said, I always say, my first time I watched Sleepaway, I enjoyed it, but I used to say, this is like meatballs with murders. It's just kids doing this, and the murders aren't very good. And that's like, what do I care about bees and this and that? I want to see a slasher. So fast forward a few years later, Skeleton Crew puts out the show. I listen to everybody talking about it, and everybody has like a high opinion of it. And I'm like, you know what? I should give this movie another chance. And I went back, and I liked it more. Then I went back again, and I liked it more. And ever since then, it just moved up that ladder where it's, I don't know, was it in my top 10? Fucking at the end of the slasher list? Definitely top 15. So I love it now. I do love it now. It just took time, But I think it's a great slasher.
I'm a weird one because I like part 2 more. And now I kind of put them on even kilter. Yeah, I thought because part 2
in the spring or like the beginning of the spring or the summer. And Brian's not a
Yeah.
big fan of the second and third ones, though.
No, they're okay, but I
Oh.
prefer the first one.
Oh, they were total cash-ins and trashy, but for whatever reason, are satisfying in a slasher way to me because they delivered on a high body count and usually gory, if not necessarily. I don't know if they necessarily sold all the effects with the deaths, but I was like, wow, these are better than what most of the slasher films that were coming out at the time, and they were both direct to video, at least in our area. I don't think either of them got like a theatrical run at all. But I loved them. I like at the time I was like when that how old was I? 87 I think they came out. 87, 88, correct? And so yeah, I guess I would have been 13, 14 when those ones came out. And I saw them all roughly at that age. 14 is really when I started ramping up because I was a scaredy cat. I was afraid of horror films. So I only saw a handful.
So was I.
Earlier, and even at 12 years old, I remember seeing Nightmare on Elm Street and Silver Bullet at our neighbors across the street, and I was scared to death. So going back, and that's why I hold those ones in a little bit higher regard as well, just because of that. Well, Nightmare on Elm Street's a classic for a lot of people, but Silver Bullet, not everybody likes Silver Bullet. I know, Jamie, you do, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love
That's
it.
one. If I'm not mistaken, that's one of your not everybody does, but I really dig that movie, and definitely have watched that more so now. But it's going back to being scared to death of watching it at my neighbor's house.
Well, I had that's funny because Silver Bullet is part of a double feature that really means a lot to me. And that is when I was 11, I was staying at my cousin's house and she was having her 15th birthday party. So I went over there to go to the party. And then after everybody left, we watched 2 movies on HBO. We watched Reanimator and Silver Bullet. And that was the first time I had seen either of those.
Awesome.
And of course, this is 86,
awesome.
so they had just come out like the year, but I just fell in love with both of those at that. Now, I was already a big horror fan by that time because I kind of popped out of the womb that way. Couldn't really help it. It was, my parents were big horror fans. So, but I'm grateful for that. I am really, really grateful to have had the opportunities to see things that I did when I was as young as I was. And a lot of them in the theater, so that was a big influence on me. But when I saw those 2 movies, I was just like, oh my God, like, I mean, Reanimator's Reanimator. That movie is just phenomenal. And then Silver Bullet, of course, I was already in love with werewolves. That started when I first saw The Howling and American Werewolf in London. It was all over for me when I saw those 2 movies. And then, so I thought Silver Bullet was a really damn good werewolf movie. I still do. A lot of people don't like the look of him because he looks kind of bearish,
Yeah.
But I love it. It's in my top 5. Werewolf.
Well,
That's
American Werewolf is another funny movie because I remember my dad renting that, and he wasn't a horror fanatic. He was a Hitchcock. He was a film buff, and he loved Hitchcock. Horror he would typically not rent, and he rented this because the guy said, "Oh, it's more of a comedy." Okay, there's comedic elements to it, but
right.
So he brought it home, and my buddy Brent was sleeping over. We all put it on like a family movie, and watch it. And I was like, this is kind of freaky. And the scene where he's having the dream, and he walks up to himself in his bed, and his eyes go. He's wearing the makeup and everything like that. It was like instantly like click. And for years, that was an inside joke between me and my buddy Brent, where we would just see each other just do that face over and over again because of how that just hit us, like mentally scarred us. And that's no different than when I saw Friday the 13th by accident. That's why I saw a lot of these films, clips or segments early, but not the full film, because something scarred me or sat with me and freaked me out, and which I guess the start of the fascination. And I've told the story numerous times about grandma's house or my great aunt's house where Friday the 13th was on cable TV. And I was watching it and we didn't know what it was. And Dad walked in and goes, "What's this, a Disney film?" Because it just, like, it was a weird, just that grainy look or whatever like that. Because Disney films that weren't animated, like back in the day, typically it's funny they had a production value of sorts, but I could see how he could confuse it in this one segment. Again, Kevin Bacon gets killed. Click. Scarred. And those are why those movies I think are just the ones that I've held in such a high regard for all these years, and will continue to revisit over and over again, because there's that connection to when I was young, and they definitely freaked me out.
Yeah, I love that. We just watched this past week. We also watched From Beyond because it was the anniversary of Stuart Gordon's death. Where there's always something that we come up with to give us an excuse to watch a movie. Like a couple weeks ago, it was The Time Change, and I'm like, Night of the Living Dead Day, So every time you turn around, it's somebody's birthday, somebody died, it was the anniversary of the release, it's, whatever. So we watched From Beyond, and that's a movie that I love now, but the first time I saw it, it was years before I could watch it again, because it scarred me that deeply. The pineal gland, I still can't look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I still have to cover my eyes when the pineal gland comes poking out of his forehead, because it freaks me out so much. Then the first time I watched that movie, I was just like, I can't watch it again. I was like, I had PTSD. I was just like, I couldn't. And it was years and years and years before I could watch it again. And now I love it. It's a great movie, but it just still to this day, I can't look at that scene. I have to close my eyes because it just grosses me out so much to have that little wiggly thing poking out of the middle of his forehead. But it's weird how little things like that will affect you and stick, just stick in your memory. Just the tiniest little thing. But then meanwhile, I could watch
that was on my wish list,
eviscerated, and it's no big deal. But that little wiggly thing, and I'm like,
it's always something. It was needles for the longest time. I couldn't watch a needle scene for the longest time.
My wife
I could
can't
watch I still, depending on how it's filmed, can get a little wheezy.
Yeah, that close up
or
shot
wheezy and woozy.
That needle shot in Pulp Fiction where he where he injects himself and you can see the blood go back into the syringe, and then that gives me the willies still.
Yeah, and they always show that. I was watching Euphoria the other day, and the girl was shooting heroin, and she put it in, and she pulled it out, and some of the blood came out, and Frankie says, "How come the blood comes out?" And maybe I gave her wrong information because I've never shot heroin or been in a room with anyone that did in front of me. So I was like, I think that's just the way it is, because I've seen that on other things before with heroin. They put the thing in and they pull it. I go, there's still a puncture, so I guess a little blood will come out when you retract, but I don't fucking know. Yeah.
Room for a Dream. Up. Remember that one where he's like, it's all scabbed and he.
Oh God, I still can't watch that.
I just saw it. Dude, it was on my non-horror list. If I read all the fucking shit I've watched since January, and that was one of the things that came up for a year, and I was looking at everyone always said this is too, and I've always not watched it because people said it was too disturbing, and ODs disturb me. It's the one thing in a movie or in real life. Like I've been out at like concerts and shit, and I see people acting the idea of overdosing on a drug just fucking scares me and like disturbs me in a fucked up way. That and like people that have eating disorders, like anorexic shit and stuff like that, and bulimia. That stuff it just hits me in a fucked up way. I don't like to see it or think about it.
It's so weird how everybody has their triggers,
Right.
For me, it's male rape. I can't. It's like Deliverance or Bad Boys, the Sean Penn Bad Boys. Anything or Pulp Fiction.
A lot of women get off on that.
I thought it was funny.
I know.
Bad Boys for life. Bad Boys for life, baby.
I know, but I'm not one of them. I can't. I don't know what it is, but it bothers me. I can watch female rape in films, and
that's great. Who doesn't like that?
But for whatever reason, male rape just really it disturbs me too much. It's bizarre, but
it's always quick though. That's why it doesn't bother me, because a male rape scene it's really quick. But think about the female rape scenes you've seen in movies.
Well,
They
yeah,
go
there's
on.
like Irreversible, you
Yep.
know. Even
Of course.
I Spit on Your Grave, which
Yes.
is just brutal. And what the interesting thing about that movie is
Like
that
20 minutes long.
yeah,
It's crazy.
and you keep thinking she's gotten away, and then they catch her again, and then she's gotten away, and then they catch her again, and it just gets worse and worse. The older I get, the more that bothers me. I've discovered that as I age, I don't know what it is about it, or if it's just that. I mean, because you'd think, I've seen it so many times, you'd think it would bother me less. But that's just one of those movies that it gets more and more disturbing every time I watch it.
Man.
I don't know.
I did not get disturbed by those movies. Deliverance. I just I watched Deliverance and I watched the other one, Requiem for a Dream, that everybody talks about for the first time the last 2 months, and I did not get disturbed. I was expecting it to be this so terrible, and it didn't really do much to me. I don't know what. The one thing that bothered me in Requiem was more Ellen Bernstein and what she was going through with the pills. Because it being all hot and shit, speed, and because again, it's not an OD, but it's a fucking terrible feeling, and I felt it before on uppers, so I know it. But to the point that she kept taking them and shit, like, how do you not know? That was a little disturbing. But the heroin shit, I just feel like I've seen much worse in other movies, so it didn't really give me the impact.
Now, the thing that bothers me about Requiem is specifically the scene where he injects into the scab, like into his wound.
Yeah.
Because that's the part where I'm just like, I'm all squeamish and I'm like, bleh, you know. But any other part of that movie, I just first of all, I just fucking love that movie. I think it's phenomenal. That I've always said I thought should be like required viewing for older teens. That things like Kids, Train Spotting.
Yeah.
You know,
the joys of drug use.
You know, I just,
Euphoria now.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet. But everything I hear about it is that they don't pull punches.
No.
It's straight up.
And it's well made. It's fucking trippy. It's season 2. Now I know why some people don't like it. It's more artistic. It's more fucking. Like they'll randomly go off into a dance number. It only happened once, but they just do certain things with their transitioning shots and other stuff that they weren't concentrating as much on. The first season was more about the pretty fucking lights and shit like that and stuff they were doing there and artistically, but it's always well made. But the thing is, the second season, it seems like there was more, just they expanded a little more on it being a little more art housey sometimes. And I could see that being a turn off, but to me, I love it and I love everything they're doing. And there's a lot of drug talk and there's a lot of fucking, it's just a really good show. I mean, I can't, there was something I wanted to say about it, but it slipped my mind. But this is what it was. The person's a real horror fan too. The front runner, the guy, he directed a horror movie too. I forgot which one, but he always has these little hidden things that you're like, okay, these are fucking things that not everybody knows. Like even last time at the end of the episode, he played the music from Cannibal Holocaust. You know what I mean? The intro, that was in there, and they have different things on their walls sometimes, like posters in their room. They reference things sometimes, and then the one girl dressed up as the nun from Ms. 45 for her. For Halloween.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean that's just not something random.
But I love how obscure that is, and
right,
and just that's cool. Well, we were watching videos last night because we were drinking, and we were watching the video for, is it Go to Hell, the Dee Snider Alice Cooper song?
No, that is Be Cruel to Your School.
That's right.
Oh, I remember that. It was on their their third album after the big one. Yeah.
And Bobcat Goldthwait's in the video, Tom Savini's in the video, and they're zombies. But what I love about it is, and I said this last night, is that some of the zombies are clearly Day of the Dead zombies. Like that's.
Oh wow.
It was the Day of the Dead style of zombie, and then. Later on, they're introduced like another group of zombies, and they are clearly Dawn of the Dead zombies. And I turned to Brian, and I was just like all up in this. And I turned to Brian, I'm like, you know what I love the most about this is how many people would never get that. Like how many people are watching that video or have watched that video and never noticed that there's a difference between the two types of zombies. Like, and they don't do like the blue skin or the green skin like in the movies, but they this just the facial structure and the way the makeup is on, it's very clear that some of them are Dawn of the Dead inspired and some of them are Day of the Dead inspired. And then I got on this whole, because I was also high, and I got on this whole conversation about how I love how you can track artists' progress and
Right.
through the years, and you can see, like with Tom Savini specifically, and as far as the zombies go, Day of the Dead zombies are very different from Dawn of the Dead zombies, and Night of the Living Dead remake zombies, which he directed the movie, but he had to be. I know he was involved with the special effects as far as like the look of the zombies go, because he did all this research about dead bodies and everything to try to make them as accurate as possible. But those are very different from the Day of the Dead zombies. So you can kind of see the progression. And I just think that's the coolest thing. I love that. But anyway, great video. If anybody out there has never seen that video, it's a really good one. And I also happen to love Dee Snider and Alice Cooper. So it's fun to see them together. But I was going to say earlier, we were talking about the Zero Boys. This is going way back. But you mentioned like Friday knockoffs. I thought this was funny. When we were watching the Zero Boys yesterday, there's a scene where they pull up to the cabin and one of the guys goes, "Jason, are you around, old boy?" And I was just like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But then I started to notice that things looked familiar. So I looked it up. That movie was filmed on the sets and locations that they used for Friday 3.
Really?
And I was
wow.
like, wow. So that nod wasn't just an empty, hey, we're out in the middle of the woods Jason joke. It was totally on purpose because they used the same locations. And I thought that was really cool.
Damn. The
That is
Pack and
cool.
Act, not the Pack and Act Lodge, Higgins Haven.
There's so many
Wow.
things to bring up that we've already talked about. The creator of that show Euphoria directed and wrote and directed Assassination Nation, which
Okay.
is fringy. It's not straight out horror,
Right.
but man, was that good. I really dug that movie, and I'm more interested in watching that show. My wife and daughter watched the show together. My oldest daughter and my wife watched it together, and they recommended it, so I just haven't had a chance to watch it out. From Beyond, love it. Like on par with Reanimator for me growing up. At one point, I think I even liked it more, or would have said I liked it more than Reanimator for a short period of time. Now I get them even kiltered. It was always on my wish list. You had that wish list of movies you wanted uncut. One of them was The Burning. One of them was Friday, 2, 5, and another one was From Beyond. And I had a short list of others that I wanted, and I was so happy when that finally got the director's cut version. And it wasn't a lot of extra footage, but just having that put back into the movie was great. It was great to see, because I always remember a couple of hard cuts where you're like, you knew it went on longer,
Right.
and they just didn't show it. They had to
Man.
cut
It's
away.
so frustrating.
But
when that happens in a movie,
Yeah.
it's like you're almost there and then they pull out.
Uh,
That is
Yeah.
frustrating. You're like, let me finish.
Awesome.
That's my life. I'm sure we all have those lists, and it was kind of cool because DVD and eventually, of course, Blu-ray and everything else kind of just allowed for that to happen. And with like these Scream Factory and other ones, it's still happening to this day that we're still finding, some lost footage that has been reinstated, like
It's
that
great.
Friday 2 stuff. Even if it's not put back into the movie, the fact
It will be.
that we actually can see the footage again. Sorry, I'm hiccuping here.
We will be. It's a
footage
gold
again is-
mine. You know it's going to happen. Scream just rushed. That's my theory. Scream got the stuff, and because the announcement and the date was already set for, and everyone was waiting for it, I think they acquired all that stuff, and they were too late in the game to get it out on the release date. So I think they did it that way. They did it that way, but I do believe that they're going to, take that stuff, clean it up as much as they can, and put it in a feature and sell yet another Friday 2. And that is fine, because that's something
No.
people want.
You're probably right.
Well,
Yeah,
it's-
I would buy.
Well, they'll have-
a version of that.
Fuck yeah.
the 4K release. Like, I mean, we haven't even had we've had 4K scans, which we know that the inevitable 4K releases will be coming next. At least kind of like whether they do the Paramount ones or just the first 4, they're coming.
They
at
are.
some point.
Yep. I just realized what that movie was that girl was in. Remember I said the girl from Friday 5? Because you said director's cut.
Oh.
It got me to something. She was in Mask. I just watched Mask as well over the last month.
Cher movie?
Yes, the Cher movie. Correct.
Oh.
Yep. And I watched that movie
man.
a fucking 100 times when I was a kid, specifically with one of my friends. And we used to always quote it and everything else. And so we were big fans of that movie. And then I saw the director's cut was on my buddy's Plex. I go, look at this. I've never seen the director's cut. So the director's cut, there's extended scenes. There's stuff in there that wasn't before. But the big thing is they changed the music. The original Mask had Bob Seger music throughout. Like almost every song was Bob Seger. I don't know why. Apparently the director had a different view. And yeah, there you go.
Michigan loves Bob Seger.
Speaking of Michigan, do they also love the White Stripes? I've been meaning to ask you.
Yes.
Yeah.
White
Oh, yeah.
Stripes.
He has a record store downtown, or at least he did. Third Man Records.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still open, but
I had a friend who worked there. Jack White, had one. I have a friend who worked there, and she actually got laid off not too long before the pandemic. So I assume it's still around, but I don't know. But yeah, he's a pretty big deal here.
Should be too. Okay, that I'm glad to hear that.
Wait, I got trivia for you. There's a connection for Mask and Friday 5 with that actress.
Yeah, she plays just one of the biker chicks. It wasn't. I think she had a line or two, but I was like, hey, that's what's her name. Yeah, but I always knew that. I just forgot.
What's the connection with Mask and Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter?
Oh, I know, Lawrence Monahan, of course.
You got it. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You are so.
It was an easy trivia question, I guess.
Stupid, Ben. Yeah, I fucking love that movie. And I didn't have anything.
That was one my mom and I used to watch a lot too. It was Mask. Yeah.
Have you seen the director's cut?
No, I haven't.
You'd appreciate it because there's extra scenes. You know what I mean? As a fan of the first one and the different soundtrack, used well. There's even a death scene that they don't even acknowledge. Somebody in their group dies. It's not even acknowledged in the fucking regular version. This one, they go right to the fucking funeral. It's weird. Wow. Yeah.
That movie.
Does he finally take the mask off at the end?
The
director's cut?
I'll take off my mask when you take off yours, you son of a bitch.
Oh, God.
I know. I used to love that line.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Eric.
And that movie made me, well, it's part of the reason I fell in love with Sam Elliott. There were a lot. That was one of
great.
He is dreamy.
Fucking...
Stop it.
Talking about mustaches.
Mustache rides.
He would never shave his off. Put like an electrical tape on his mouth.
What a decision. That's the problem with whoever directed that movie, or if there was a producer that's responsible, whoever made that decision and said, no, this guy shaved his fucking stash, we got to do this. Whoever that person is doesn't deserve to be in fucking film anymore. That's my opinion. Seriously.
I have a feeling they weren't and have not been.
I think they have now been working on some Superman films. That was a joke because of the mustache. But were you gonna say something about being disturbed? What disturbs you?
I'm always.
Yeah, he was.
No, I feel like you started to say something when I was talking.
Yep.
About.
I was gonna ask him that. I heard that.
Yeah.
What disturbed you? Yes.
The thing that always gets me is religious iconography. Whenever that's manipulated, I'm pretty sure it's because while I am not religious at all, now I was born that way, I was raised that way. So whenever, like The Exorcist 3, when you have that scene in the very beginning and the ghostly spirits running around and all that, and suddenly you have that big crucifix and Jesus opens his eyes, that freaks me out. I don't know why.
Oh, like what about the masturbation scene?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I know why that is. I couldn't understand that. And I was like, holy shit.
What a great business idea. Just like the book in the Shining. Remember, all work and no play? We just have that as a book, and you said that someone actually marketed that. We should have a crucifix dildo.
They have them.
I don't know. They have them. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. I was
They
they have
have
everything.
dildos of everything. They have Cthulhu tentacle dildos. I mean, Jesus Christ. If you can stick it up your hoo-ha, somebody made it.
Dude, it's so funny because I loved that. Here's the thing. Nothing disturbed me in 83 when I first started watching horror. I fell in love. Like, I was a little bit afraid when I saw the final chase with Jason at the end of part 3, first thing I saw. I was a little afraid of it at the time because it was late at night, everyone was sleeping. So yes, I could see that did scare me. But after that, the next day, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I wanted, this was a part 3, I want to go see what else is. Then I started getting the card, the video store cards. Then I was in like 6th grade and I was just fucking down for everything. I was reading fucking Cujo and The Exorcist in class in 6th grade. I like got right into it. And Reagan, I was like obsessed with her. I loved her and I loved all the nasty shit that was coming out of her mouth. So while that should have been disturbing, seriously, I was like, this fucking chick's awesome. This is great. I just thought it was badass to hear a girl talk that way.
Awesome.
Seriously, I
This chick is
loved her.
awesome.
Yeah, man, and I was kind of her age, like a year or two older than what she's playing. I'm like, man, this is awesome. So I always
I
got
love
off
a
on.
dirty mouth chick.
Young Dave felt a tingling down below. And what is this?
I've always liked bad girls. Maybe that's where it started. I don't know. It's just she was doing
Well,
that
that's
shit.
Awesome.
She's about the ultimate baddie right there.
That's for fucking sure.
That's a movie that was one that I started watching super young. Again, it was one of those, like I mentioned on the last show, we had it on disc. So I watched it a lot and it never scared me when I was little, like little. But then the older I got, and I think it was just because I was able to actually comprehend the weight of everything that was happening and what it meant. And I could see the effects on the family and, I was mature so I could understand more what was going on. Then it started to frighten me. And I actually do see that it is a legitimately frightening film. But when I was little, it never scared me. And I think it's just because there was a lot of stuff going on screen, but I didn't understand what it all meant. So it didn't carry the weight.
Well, yeah, that's a movie. It's not made for kids or teens or anything. It's an adult-centric horror movie. So you need to have that frame of reference. You need to understand and feel what these people are. It's not just, no matter how old you are, young or old, if a guy's charging in a room with a chainsaw, you're going to be scared. That's what you're supposed to be. Exorcist, you gotta, otherwise it's some, why is she so ugly and cursing a lot?
Right. Maybe that's why, maybe I should cut that kid some slack from when it was re-released in theaters, and I yelled at that kid in the theater who said it was boring. He was only about 16, 17, so...
Well, by that age, you should fucking know.
Yeah, all right. Well, I was going to try to give him... you're right, though. You're right. I think at that age, you could probably...
I mean, when I saw it, I think I was 12, maybe 13, and it scared the shit out of me. It's why it's my number 3 movie of all time. It's still effective. And just, even take that out. Even take away the fear and the frights. It is just such a well-made movie. The acting, directing, I mean... there are few horror films, and I don't want to sound like a snob or anything, but there's few horror films I would actually consider high art, and that's one of them. The Shining is another one. These are just movies that are so beyond they don't want to just scare you. I mean, they want to do that, and they do it very well, but it's more than that. And just filmmaking as a craft is like on a whole nother level with these films.
They're elevated horror, aren't they? See? But I will say this.
Elevated horror, so that just can't be.
But here's the thing about elevated horror. See, I don't have an issue with it because I do believe that, yes, we have had these movies that were shot well, that were art housey in a way, that had great soundtracks, well made all around, and dealt with adult themes and things like that. I mean, you're talking of 2 right there, Shining and The Exorcist. And again, Shining is the one that did scare me. I was always afraid of the twins and the woman in the bathtub. So that was one that scared me and still does. So that's one of the few. But those movies we had, and there were a few of them. They're few and far between. but I believe there's a little bit of, when people do say elevated horror, I take it as the type of movies that we've been seeing a lot in the 2010s, which have been like art housey with freaking, where they were done a certain way as far as, technical, and they had good acting and the soundtrack, and it was adult targeted stuff. That is why I don't think it's the greatest phrase, but I do believe that there is something to that we weren't seeing these movies before. We were now and again, but it seems like now it's more of it's a trend that's been going on for the past like 7 years or so. That's why I don't hate on the term, because I think that it is a new thing as far as being a popular thing. It's like saying, okay, Black Christmas came out in 74. It didn't start the slasher craze. Neither did Halloween. Friday did in 1980. So it's kind of like, okay, we had elevated stuff in the 70s, right? We had elevated stuff in the 70s and maybe sometime in the 80s, but so few movies. Now we're seeing a bunch of them, and they're done in like an art house style over substance in some cases.
Well, it's the goal these days.
I have to respectfully disagree. In the 1970s, that is where horror for adults lived. I mean, as much as I love the 80s, and I do, it's my favorite decade because there was so much horror and there's so much varied. I mean, there was still good adult horror, but there's also teeny bopper horror. There was slashers, there was ghosts and vampires and all that stuff. I mean, it was a hodgepodge, and you couldn't throw a stick without hitting a horror movie. But when I think of serious, I am really trying to freak you out. Yet I'm trying to make a good story, good acting, I think of the 70s. And I think of, not only The Exorcist, not only, I just said it. The Shining, which came out in 80, but was made in the 70s. You look at stuff like Alien. You look at stuff like, The Sentinel.
Well, I agree with all of that, but that's only part of the equation. You wouldn't consider them art house horror, though, would you? Maybe The Shining, but I mean, these are like art housey movies.
No, but I think some of that art house is just pretentious dog shit.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem recognizing that there are films that are of a higher caliber than others,
But there's always been that.
But that's my point. Is the reason that I have issue with people pointedly using the term is just because, and this comes from numerous articles that I've read and seen where people are like, oh, horror is now,
acceptable.
And I'm like, fuck you.
Well,
we've always had these films, and yes, there's always been a mixture of, the Corman films, or have been thrown in there. But my issue is when people act like we've never had films like that before.
That's what pisses me off.
We have but now we have a glut of them, where in the past I don't think
that's true.
That's why I'm saying that's where I'm saying it holds water to me when people say that, because it's a common thing. Like slashers were in the 80s, we're seeing a lot of these type of movies now, which I know not everybody likes them, but I mean, and I know it's like what Brian said with it being pretentious and I do hear people saying that. I just happen to like a lot of them if I can make sense of the plot. I can't just like a movie that's artsy and holds shots. And shows, show the flower opening slowly, but I don't get anything else about the movie. I don't need that. I want an art house movie that's horror that I can fucking understand what's happening. You know what I mean? And I do think that we get that now. Black Coats,
I think we get a lot of those.
Demon, all that shit.
Yeah, and we love those movies.
Yeah. I have problem with the term. I think
fair.
That term was initially coined so dick noses who don't like horror movies can now socially accept horror film. It's like, horror movies are stupid. They're lowbrow. They're for the, the common man. But now this new stuff, it's so artistic and it's so well made. And, they're dealing with social themes and real emotions. And it's fuck you up the ass. They always did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I've always loved about horror is that is a genre that you can look back on and see exactly what was going on socially at any point. You know, so you go back to the 50s and you see all the atomic monsters and Godzilla being, by the way, the original Godzilla is a legitimately good movie with some legitimate themes. It's not, you know, it's not just
big guy
in a
rubber
suit stomping around on models. It actually has a lot to say, and I think, I don't know, it gets overlooked for that sometimes. But if you go back, then those atomic bug movies or those radiation movies, like all the giant bugs and the weird creatures and the mutants and all of those things, came straight out of people's fears and of what was going on at the time. And it's always been that way. Horror has always reflected that. And so I just get, what pisses me off is when people act like horror's never done that before.
That's my point.
You know, that's what bothers me.
Like, this is a new thing. Like, horror was all ghetto moronic trash until now, and now it is so much more. Fuck off.
Yeah,
well, it always got shit on because it was always considered lowest common denominator, even when you had other directors stand out to do things like The Shining. Remember, The Shining wasn't really well received when it first came out.
Especially from
Kubrick. The Thing, which, you know.
Yeah. Or The Thing, exactly, or the one that I personally agree with 100%, but it's not to the same degree, which was Possession from 1981, which I'm not a fan of at all.
Neither am I. I think it's okay, but that's about it.
It's well made, but I mean, I'm not over the moon with it.
I think with that re-release that came out a couple of years ago, I think everybody went gaga over it because of the current state. But I'm not a fan of it. But none of these movies were well received at the time, and there's quite a few more that you could probably say. The Sentinel or whatever, I know that was mentioned. I don't believe that was well received either. And we could go on and on. So even when a director would, take a stab at it, if you will, and when I say a director, I'm talking about a prestigious director that came out of that was a Kubrick, or Spielberg or whatever. People would look at them, but I don't think they would necessarily embrace them the same way.
No, but it's always that way, and people are always going to look at horror shitty. Why they shouldn't be? They should be looking down on fucking action films. That's the lowest common denominator. Talk about shit that makes no sense and is for the dumb masses.
Whoa.
That's action.
Well, you
I don't mean to be an
that
asshole.
right up your ass, Dave. Sorry.
Now
you disagree? You don't think it's junk food movie? Fucking.
Nope. Not at all.
He's not saying you can't enjoy them, and I actually agree with Dave here, because as much as I enjoy action, and I do, I love action films, they're, in reality, what do they actually provide other than just, momentary entertainment?
Well, that can be exactly said about horror movies, and that's also bullshit.
But no, horror movies have themes,
much more going on.
Yeah,
not everyone, but a lot of them.
And I'm sure there are action films that do too, that I probably just can't,
Well,
okay. Well, I don't even know if that's, would you consider Rambo?
Yes.
I mean, not Rambo, but First Blood?
Yes.
And it's a great movie.
Film?
The first one.
Okay, so that is a deeper,
just the first one.
More thematic action film. So they do exist, but I'm like, then look at something like Rambo 3.
Right.
Well, even that, I mean, that was all about, at the time, our allies in Afghanistan and what Russia was doing with them and all that.
No, that's true. It did have other stuff going on.
There's always going to be mindless bullshit of just some guy grabs a gun, starts shooting bad guys. But that could be said about some guy grabbing a knife and stabbing teenagers. There's always going to be bullshit examples in every genre. But I don't think any one genre is lesser than another.
Well, you know what? I guess, you know what, you're right. Because you can look at, say, canon films, like they're action films.
Wow,
that's
awesome.
They are a lot of fun, but they're going to be the more junk foody movies.
Well, they are.
But
even the other ones, Jamie, like I've been watching, and I give them a fair shot. Like when I take my time off from horror, like I do every year in January, I watch a few different action movies that I've never seen, and every time I watch one, I come back with questions. I'm like, I said this when we talked about Predator, right? I said it's either the people that are watching just don't give a shit and just give it all a pass, or they don't notice. But every time I watch an action movie that I haven't seen before, I just see these like plot holes that make no sense, and I see all these things going on in it that I'm like, well, wait a minute. They don't really fully explain this. You're just supposed to go with it. And yeah, I do realize that a lot of slashers are, they're just silly, and I understand that they're the junk food of horror to a degree, but maybe not. SOV is probably the bottom of the barrel, but I mean stuff like that. But every time I watch one of these action films, even ones that people blow and I haven't seen them before, I watch it and I'm like, I think people just choose to freaking ignore all these things that I'm noticing. I'm like, wait a minute. And every time I do review them, I always say, I'm like, well, this part here doesn't make sense. Could you tell me why this happened here and what's up with this? Nobody can ever give me a straight answer. So I know that they're not competently made as far as moving along the plot. They just kind of like, I don't want to say insult their audience like the people think about horror. I just think that they kind of, I don't know, when they make the movies, they don't give a shit and they don't think that the fans are going to give a shit, and they don't. But if you watch them objectively at all, a lot of them are just, that's why I say to me,
that could be said
they're the
for
lowest
many
comment
horror films as well.
Yeah.
Many, you think?
Many, even horror films that I love.
It has been said about many horror films that we all love.
Yeah, but not by us usually. Usually we watch a movie, and if it's supernatural...
That's because you're a horror fan first and foremost. So you're going to naturally appreciate or enjoy these movies more than others. You're letting your own personal bias cloud your view.
But I don't want to. When I watch it, when
I
put in Die Hard...
But that's just...
reaching like dog levels of...
I'm not a big fan of musicals, but I'm not fit to judge them that way. So I wouldn't. But I don't think they're necessarily bad movies.
They're not bad.
I just get bored to death with them.
Put it in social context. If you go out and tell some people, you're in a conversation, go, oh, I'm a horror fan. You'll get more people go, oh, you watch those? As opposed to if you say, oh, I love action movies. Someone's like, oh, yeah, they're great. Like, whatever. Horror still has a stigma,
shit.
no matter how much we want it rid of. And don't get me wrong, there's way more content now, and there's way more community now. Probably one of the positives some days is social media. Not all the time, but you know what I mean. But ultimately, we know that there's other people out there that share this. It's not like just one buddy of yours or a couple of buddies here and there. It's now that you can see like-minded individuals. Like, hell, I live up in Canada. You guys are in Michigan, and you're fucking in New York State, and we're all talking about horror films. And we all share this. I mean, that is what's different today. We can all come together. But Brian is, I agree with Brian. I mean, at the end of the day, like there's a lot of fans that are passionate about action films and have absolutely no interest in horror, and will bring out the commentary. RoboCop has commentary. Like, there's just as many.
That's fine. I dig it.
True.
Okay.
RoboCop, I don't have an issue.
Delta Force in the beginning, in the airplane, when there's the German flight attendant, and they want her to separate the Jewish passengers from
the Gentiles, I guess,
from everyone else, and she's like, I can't do that. I'm German. Like, that is, I mean, that's an action flick, but that's a really deep theme. Yeah. Like, that's something horrible that if they didn't call it out, you wouldn't even necessarily think of it.
And right there, that's a silly canon film.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess they do exist. It's just, but I think Christian's point, it makes a lot of sense, is that they are all, but they're also more accepted by the mainstream. Even now, I am the only big horror fan in my office, and I have horror stuff all over my desk, and people come over, or they'll walk by and they're like, oh, you like that scary stuff? And I'm like, yeah, but and because
like dismissed almost. Oh, that's scary stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. It's almost like a dismissal.
It is. It's a straight up dismissal. And then there are, you ever see something really good, like something that just affects you on such a great level, and then you're trying so hard to think of somebody to share that with, and the only people that I can share that stuff with are you guys. or people, other friends within our horror community.
Sorry.
I can't go to work and tell people, you really need to see this movie, or like, okay, for instance, on Monday after last weekend, I came in and they're like, hey, did you see anything, or what'd you do this weekend? And I was like, oh, we went to the movies, we saw X. And so they're like, oh, what's X? And I'm like, well, it's Ty West's new film, blank.
No one knows that.
Blank.
Yeah.
Blank. And they're like, oh, well,
It's a horror movie.
they're like, oh, well, I like slashers. Should I watch it? I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to tell them. I'm like, I have no idea. If you
I
were
know.
Dave, I would know what to say. If you were Duncan or Bo or Brian or Christian or what, I would know what to
Right.
tell you. But I have no idea. Like,
But I think that.
Or what was your
exclusion-
favorite movie of the year? Sorry, Brian.
I was just gonna say, I think that exclusion is why the horror community is so strong.
oh, absolutely. And that's
And-
why people
Yeah.
listen to podcasts.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing I was gonna say. I can't think now. I'm sure there's something out there. There's podcasts about everything, but I can't think of any action-oriented podcast.
I used to do one.
What'd you do?
Direct to video.
That was all about action movies?
Yeah.
When the hell did you do that?
I was in the other room. That was the show I used to do. I used to do it live on Wednesday nights
We'll do it live.
with Matt.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, that's my example. You have one.
Right. I think
How
that
many
Nudie
horror
did one with
podcasts are
Alex.
there?
I think
Yeah,
Nudie and Alex did one for like a minute.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't last. But this is why I think I'm being fair when it comes to action. Like I said, RoboCop's good. I don't see plot holes. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was like 9 out of 10. Whatever I said, I rate them all. But most of the action movies I watch don't go over an 8. They can only go so far because I have a problem with something in the plot where they're leaving something out intentionally, or they're just, the way I said before, they're insulting their audience by not giving us enough of the background, so we're just supposed to accept it. But this is the strongest. This is what I'm going to say. I go in hoping for the best, but I'm telling you, this Western thing, I go back and I watch the Westerns, and I have loved every fucking Western I've watched now.
Yay!
Right?
Oh
And
my
it's like,
God, you make
ooh.
me so happy.
I'm telling
That's
you,
an American thing.
I've watched like 12 or 15 fucking Westerns now, right? And
Wow.
every
Like
time
what? What'd you really like?
I had to go back and look at my my thing here. I talked about them all on the solo cast because I've been watching them a lot.
Silverado, or whatever the hell it was. That's the
No,
only one I
I'll look
remember.
on my
Tombstone.
thing. Tombstone, was that the one? That was fucking great. That was fucking no. Was that Tombstone? I can't forget. I can't remember.
Tombstone is Val Kilmer. Well,
don't
and
remember.
other people.
No, Clint Eastwood wasn't the one. It was a Clint Eastwood one. He was the old man.
Unforgiven?
Forgiven. That was fucking awesome.
Unforgiven is awesome.
Yes, dude, it was. And every Western I've watched, I watched Josie Wales. I watched a fucking 15 of them. I'm telling you now. And I say on my solo cast, I go, I think it's sad that the Westerns fell to the wayside, and it seems like action movies took over for it. Because when you compare a Western to an action movie, there's no fucking comparison. Like, to me, I almost have Westerns on the fucking level that I have horror. Because there's no
Wow.
plot holes. It makes fucking sense. I can follow what's going on. The acting is good. I get just enough of everything that I want. I really love these Westerns. So I'm not looking to put down action movies. All I can do is watch them like Westerns. I didn't think I was going to like them. I went
I'm
into
not-
them like, man, these are good. You
I
know?
don't think you're looking to put them down. I just think they're not your cup of tea.
Okay.
If
But they're
you've
not my
seen-
cup of tea because they're leaving plot information out and there's plot holes. So
To
it doesn't
you-
matter what I'm watching.
I mean, you mentioned there were plot holes in Predator. I dare you to name one.
Here's what it was. No. You'd have to listen. What did I say? You
You
remember.
you go, what the hell are they even doing out here? Does anybody even know?
Yes,
'Cause it's like,
they're going
I
to
think-
rescue somebody. That's pretty
Who are they-
easy. They say that several times.
They say it, but there's like, fuck. Yeah, I didn't just watch it. It just seems like everything's done like matter of factly, and like somebody explains something, but while they do the explanation, you can't really follow along with it, and then it's just accepted. I wish I could fucking.
Well, no,
Watch it
I'll,
and go
I'll
back.
give you this. When I was a kid and I used to watch Predator, I think I was like 13 when it came out. But when
That's still
You know,
a kid.
when I first watched it, I didn't get like who are all these gorillas in the like what's happening? Like, what is happening? I just knew that there was
Right.
a whole lot of explosions and then Alien, and then my interest started to kick in after the Alien showed up. But as I got older and I watched it more times, then I understood what was going on.
And that could be me. I've said that even. I can't keep up sometimes, but so someone says like an important plot point in like 20 seconds, and then it's not said again. It's hard to explain. I'll take that. I'll take that it could be me and me not being able to follow along with something. But I remember I had a question for these guys on the show, and they couldn't answer it. And I go, well, I just think that action fans just accept whatever's on the screen, and they don't do any type of, I don't know, analysis or deep thought about it. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
I'm just excited that you have come around to Westerns, and anybody who listens to this show who used to also listen to ABCs will probably remember that. I mean, we would because Brian and I love Westerns, and we would talk about Westerns, and Dave's just like, I don't know, like it just not just like you used to be with creature features. You didn't, that wasn't your go-to, but then you just started, checking some out, and then realized that, but I never expected that to happen with Westerns. And I love that, because I always just kind of figure Westerns aren't really something that you can come into late. Like either you grow up with them and you love them, or you don't. But I guess, a good movie's a good movie. So
yeah,
they're well made.
It's sadly just fell out of style.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like,
even after The Unforgiven won an Academy Award too, because it won Best Picture, correct? Like,
yes, Best Picture.
I think they thought that was going to. Yeah.
It's just, those movies can get a lot of accolades, and the good ones usually do, but sadly they're just not popular anymore. Yeah. I mean, and some people still make them just because they have a love for the genre, but they're never going to be blockbusters, and sadly that's all that Hollywood is interested in anymore. In case in point, we're talking about action movies. Sadly, what I consider action movies are now few and far between. Everything is goddamn superhero movies.
Yep.
That has now replaced the action film. And yeah, there's action in those movies, just people punching each other and lasers and all that silly shit. But it's not the same thing.
Well, we do still have things like, the John Wick series.
Yeah, and we get one of those every 3 years.
And Nobody, which I thought was phenomenal.
Which is made by the same people. Yeah, so yeah. I mean... action films are just, they're a dying breed, and it's sad.
Yeah, the true, we don't have those like Schwarzenegger.
No.
Stallone.
You got those rock movies now.
The Expendable ones came out. The Expendable ones came out and was like a nod back to, but with every release, they became more PG. In the sense of, like, I think it started out violent. The second one continued that, or possibly was even more so. And then the third one, they decided to go kind of like what they did with Rambo 3. Let's tone it down and make sure that the kids can come see it now. And they should have just stuck to the guns and made
with Expendables
an old school.
That's why we only have Expendables 1 and 2. We don't have Part 3.
Which hurts my feelings because Scott Adkins is in Part 3.
I know, it breaks my heart.
Shut up.
Scott Adkins is the new Scott Adkins. I came onto him late, and that came out really wrong. But ultimately,
circle jerks.
He's fantastic. He's like the Van Damme, the action star that we grew up with watching. He's the new version of it, but sadly, not many people know who he is. No. But his 2 ninja movies are phenomenal.
Ninja 2 Shadow of the Tear is one of the best recent action films I have seen, and I fucking love that movie. There are some fight sequences in that movie that I will just watch on loop. It's just, he's so good. Have I
ever shown you The Raid?
Yeah.
Okay, good. The Raid is insane. I mean, it's basically the same exact story as Dread, where police go into a big apartment building. They're trying to get the bad guy who lives on a top floor, and he tells everybody in his building, kill these cops or I'm going to kill all of you. So now the cops have to go all the way up the building fighting every single floor. But holy shit, those fight scenes are amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. But yeah, anybody out there who doesn't know Scott Adkins, I think you're kind of missing out, because he is badass. He's so good. And
the 2 Debt Collector movies are great. Avengement. There's so many, and some of them are Netflix, some of them may be on Prime, but there's a lot that's out there. The Debt Collector films are fun. I think there's actually some good writing in between them, and these are movies that nobody seems to be talking about or know of. I wouldn't say nobody. That sounds, but you know what I mean. It's definitely not as commonly spoken about. And yeah, I agree, wholeheartedly agree. I'm glad you. It's great to hear that someone else loves those ninja movies too.
Oh my God.
Well, I have a thing for ninjas, so.
He does. Yeah, he does. We have so many.
As to why.
But I am specifically in love with the Atkins ninja movies, particularly part 2. And
Because he's dreamy.
well, I mean, that doesn't hurt.
It's
But
okay.
he's also
Right,
a
hey.
damn good fighter. He's a damn good fighter. And
He is.
And we actually watched a breakdown. I don't know if you guys ever watched. There's a show called The Breakdown, and
On YouTube.
they'll bring
Experts.
on various things and have them break down scenes in movies as to whether or not they're realistic or whatever. And we just watched one last week or so with Scott Adkins where he was talking about
Fight scenes,
scenes in movies, and how, and that was really fascinating though, because you learn how, like, he's like, this guy right here, if you ever work with him, he does not pull his kicks.
Yeah.
Like, he will kick you straight in the face, and so I just thought that was really kind of cool to know. And then he would actually talk about how they set up shots so that it looks, more realistic. And he's like, oh, in this scene, I guarantee you there was this guy over here doing this. And it's really cool to see
I
behind
gotta
the
watch
scenes.
that. It's on YouTube. That is
yeah.
right up my alley. Then I'm gonna check that out.
And they have a
I
bunch
just-
of experts on it. They'll
They'll have Navy SEALs on.
or
talking
explosive experts talking about movies or bombs in movies. They'll have like ex-CIA guys talking about spy movies.
hostage negotiators talking about hostage situations in movies. Like, it's really cool to see how some of these movies really go the extra mile to be realistic.
And some of them really don't.
And some of them don't give a shit.
which I assumed a lot happened of that in the 80s, but I again, it's an assumption. I just said I don't know if any of this is based on anything real whatsoever. But I love that stuff. I got to check that out for sure. Have you guys watched the Undisputed films? He wasn't in the first one, but then he became, I think he was introduced in the second one. There's like
Is that
4
the
of
one
them.
set in the prisons?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen those.
And he was like the bad guy, I think, in part 2. But then they wanted to continue the series, so then they flip it and you follow him. I'm almost positive. I think his name is Boca, or something like that. And that's Boca is Undisputed 4. And yeah, they're all worth checking out. But I went on first year of pandemic, so year 2000. I went on a huge, kind of like what Dave's doing with slashers. Which, Dave, you're gonna have to mention your list. I just went on a huge. I'm like, I have been missing out on modern action movies that are not fucking superhero movies like you guys mentioned. And so I came up with a list, and that's how I came across Scott Adkins. I'm like, how did I not know about this guy? Because he is awesome, and he's dreamy too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good-looking dude. Plus, he has this great British accent that he frequently doesn't use because he often does not play a British guy. But
God damn, my nipples are getting hard.
oh, stop it! But he's also a very
Mine too.
talented fighter. Like, his action scenes are just like, holy shit. If I can point one out for anybody who's curious, just look up Ninja 2 Shadow of a Tear bar fight on YouTube. Watch that scene and tell me that you don't really want to watch the rest of that movie, because that is one of the best sequences in action films ever, as far as I'm concerned. It's just that fucking good. It's that well choreographed.
And for low budget, I'm assuming all these are lower budget. I could be wrong. I haven't checked this to see if the budget is actually on IMDb or anywhere else, but all of these seem to be, they were churning them out. Like, he was in like 2-3 movies a year, and it seemed to be like 2 directors he was working with, Jesse V. Chickens
Ventura?
or something like that, and another No, not Ventura. But there's that director, and then there's another director, and he seemed to be going between the two of them, and would film all these ones. And like I said, a couple of the standouts were those two Debt Collector ones, obviously the two Ninja ones that we've been talking about. I like the Undisputed series, and I think Avengement was another one that I really got a kick out of. I think he's let out of prison, and he goes back to a bar, and he kicks the shit out of everybody in that bar, and that's the movie.
Oh God, well I have not seen that one, and I need to.
My recommendation, real quick, because this ain't the action cast,
It's okay.
is
man.
a film by Tony Jaa, or at least he's the actor in it. I can't remember if it's called The Guardian or The Protector.
It's the elephant one?
Yeah.
The Protector.
The Protector, thank you. He's a guy who lives in Thailand. He has an elephant.
It's so cute. I love that movie.
Some rich jackass steals his elephant, so now he must go and kick the shit out of a lot of people. And he is awesome. He's like a modern day Jackie Chan to me. And they have a scene in there, once again, it's him going upstairs. It's like he's going up 3 or 4 flights of stairs in a big ass, building, and he's fighting all along the way, and it's one take. That is insane. To have a fight scene last that long to be one take.
Wow.
That never happens.
Yeah,
And you can tell at the very end, he is just beat. He is barely moving his ass at the end of it.
That's actually one that Scott Adkins talked
Yes.
about in the breakdown, and he's like, look at him here. You can tell, like, he is exhausted. Like, he is just worn out after this scene. But Tony Jaa is great.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. And I mean, the things they do, it's crazy to on the fly. Like they start at the bottom floor, working his way up, and then by the time he gets to the second level or so, he's chucking people off the, downstairs and off the railings. And they had to put crash mats down there for
That's
him.
what I
But
like.
But they're doing it they're
on the
doing
fly.
it on the fly. So like as he'll run past a shot or a scene, like a spot, and then he'll go upstairs, and then 2 seconds later you're following him with the camera, and then you'll see guys fall down, and we actually saw some of the crash mats where they put him down. So while he's doing his fighting up the stairs, the production people are running around putting all this stuff in place, so it has to be, everything has to be timed perfectly, because if they're not in position, then when that guy gets thrown off the balcony, he's gonna fucking die. So they have to get everything exactly right. It's
but also
unreal.
just consider Tony Jaa. I mean, if they start this fight scene and they get halfway through it and somebody fucks up, they got to start it over. And then if they get all the way, they get 3/4 of the way there and somebody fucks up, they got to start it over. They always got to go back to the start. I mean, I give him all the credit in the world. That had to be a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's taking it to the next level. Like, how can we make this fun for the viewer, challenging on us, and it becomes an ultimate win because you see what's gone into that. I love it. I can't wait. That's The Protector. That's all in The Protector.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out. I didn't watch one Scott Adkins movie that I didn't like. Even like the one like Triple Threat was, I think maybe it was good. It was fun. Hard Target 2. It was okay. Like nothing was horrible. Like everything was watchable, and the production value was great on pretty much all of them. So definitely recommend. But you're right. It's not the action podcast, but we said it's a BS show, so we get into all these different topics. So don't worry about it. Don't worry.
I'm sure there are some crossover fans out there. I mean, we are. So
there are.
There's got to be others. And the Ip Man series, too. Is
Oh,
a really
those
good
are.
Series
That's Donnie Yu. He is awesome.
Yeah. But so I digress. Dave, you said your list. You were going to talk about your
Oh, that too. Yeah. Okay, let me say this about the action. Maybe, like, how can I say it? I can respect what you guys are saying about that scene being shot in one take and everything else, and what it takes to do something like that, and all that stuff I can respect that. I guess my issue is every time I watch a movie, it's like, I'm supposed to just expect that a guy's gonna take on 50 guys and beat them every time. Like if it's supernatural or a superhero or a Jedi or something, that I could accept. But when I see it time and time again in a movie, it's tougher for me to just like take it seriously at all. And it doesn't have to be serious, but it isn't necessarily a knock. But when I say that I consider action movies to be what people label horror movies as, the lowest common denominator, that's why. I picture car chases and explosions and just like anybody can do it and like anybody's into it. It's like a basic, let's blow shit up. Let's do this. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of artistic merit or storytelling there. And I don't mean to sound pretentious. I'm not.
No,
okay.
I can understand that, but the same could be said about give a guy a mask and a knife and have him stalk around the woods,
throw some blood out.
Teenagers,
True.
Anything
Slashers,
could be.
Yeah.
Anything can be, I don't know, summed up in just the most basic way.
Yeah, but I mean that's just one subgenre of horror in the slashers, and some are very well made. But I mean, I feel this way about a whole lot of action movies, and it's just like the general public is into it, and they give them all these props. Same with the superhero stuff. They make it sound like these are the greatest movies ever made, but at the same time they knock on horror movies and they say this and it's just like, and this is what I found every time I watch the non-horror movies, which I did, and I mentioned this on the solo cast, that even though I really loved all these movies, westerns, this, that, mostly dramas, and there was a lot of Hitchcock, there was a lot of Von Trier, there was the Tarantino films I went through, and I went to Kubrick's movies, and then I was watching the greats that I haven't seen if a year came up, like, okay, this is the movie I should watch. So I'm watching all these highly regarded movies, and as I'm watching them, I'm enjoying a lot of them. Some I rate really high, some are great, others not as great, but I still respect them and enjoyed my time with them. But at every time in the movie, I was saying to myself, how cool would this be if it transitioned into horror in the third act and then this happened? It would make the movie that much better. I'm like, but again, that's just me being a horror fan.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why Dusk to Dawn works so well. It starts off as a typical Tarantino crime caper film, and then oops, vampires.
Oh yeah, well, you guys know my story about that, right? Like, I had no idea what that
Lucky
movie was
you.
about when I went to see it.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I'd never seen a trailer or anything, and then all of a sudden, Salma Hayek turns into a vampire, and I'm looking around, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, did everybody expect this to happen? What's happening? Like,
did that acid I take just kick in? What
right?
the hell?
Yeah, I was
wow.
But it was the best thing I've ever experienced. It was so phenomenal. It was, I mean, talk about a swerve. Holy shit. And I was loving the movie as it was, and then, because I love things like Natural Born Killers and things like that, so I'm all about, crime movies, and I was like, oh, this is great. These guys are just straight up killers. They're brutal. It was fun. And then all of a sudden vampires. And I'm like, what the fuck? But it was great.
Can you think of another movie that does that sudden genre switch? I mean, just so abruptly like that?
I don't know.
I'm sure we have them.
I would think we would, but I can't think of another one. I mean, we have movies that blend genres, so it could be like an action horror movie or a Western horror movie, but I can't really think of one where it's just like a straight up, let's say, action film, and then bam, now it's a horror film.
Like for half the movie. Well, what about Predator?
Yeah, kind of, but I don't consider that a horror film at all. I know some people do. Some people consider it a slasher film. I do not agree with that.
No, a horror film, fine, not a slasher film. But I'm with you. Some movies, but I just said it. How many times have you heard it turns into horror in the third act? We've heard that, especially in recent years. It's like a fucking drama or this or that, and then all of a sudden something is introduced into the plot that makes it supernatural or something else, and oh wow, so this.
I feel like there's something recent.
But I think we're going into the movie thinking it was a horror film, and it just happened to be more of a slower start.
Yeah, but
introduction of characters and stuff. But
yeah, but still, when
the
Jamie
assumption is it's a horror film.
When Jamie saw From Dusk Till Dawn, she was under the assumption it's just because nowadays we know everything. And
maybe that's it.
I was in Jamie's shoes because the opposite happened to me. And I wasn't even reading Fangoria anymore at the time. I was out of it. I was at work one day at the pizzeria, and we used to get these free magazines. They would drop them off for people to take, like a college magazine or something. It was like the Buffalo Metro or something.
Oh, yeah.
Free whoever's there, right? So I would always read the back because they would have movie and music reviews from people written in this thing. So I would go there, and I would go in the back, and From Dusk Till Dawn was there, and they were talking about it, and then they said starts off this way, blah blah blah, and then it turns into like an Evil Dead 2 type movie, and I was like, what? And because I saw that, I wanted to see it, but see now, Jamie, that's why I am the way I am now. I love going in blind, not knowing shit, because look at the experience you had that the rest of us got robbed on.
No, it's true, you know, and that happened at a very specific time where it was the perfect storm where you know, that kind of situation just wouldn't exist really now because it was in '96, so I didn't have internet, and where I lived in Athens, if you didn't have cable, you didn't have TV because you could not get just broadcast television there where you couldn't get a signal. So I couldn't afford cable because that's when I was working at a convenience store, and I was like,
and there's always
20,
somebody playing a banjo off in the woods somewhere.
Shut up. So I didn't have cable. I didn't have internet. At the time, I couldn't afford to read Fangoria. So like I was a very specific poor time in my life where I had no exposure to anything, except I had one of my coworkers at the convenience store also work part-time in a movie theater, and she would bring me with her to see advanced screenings sometimes. And that was one that she's like, you know, I know you're going to love this movie. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but I feel like you're going to like it. I feel like it's going to be up your alley. And so I was like, okay, whatever. Like I hadn't even heard of it. Like I had no exposure whatsoever. And so we walked in and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then I was like, whoa. And I wish, wow. I do wish that every experience was that dynamic, you know, but at the
you
same
could
time,
do it.
I remember.
Like, I know, but I like watching trailers.
Yeah, I know.
I remember Ebert came down on that movie for that reason. One of the reasons. It was just like, oh, it shifts gears and becomes a totally separate, it's like two films in one. And the first film's much better than the second. Something along those lines. I'm going by like memory.
No, that sounds like that asshole.
Right?
We love to watch, we'll go back and watch old Siskel and Ebert shows where they bitch about slashers and stuff like that.
Those are...
it pisses us off, you know, or, you know, as they call them, dead teenager movies. It pisses us off because the only one they ever have respect for is Halloween.
Of course.
And then everything else is just, as far as they're concerned, trash. But... and then I watch them and then I get all like, hot under the collar, you know?
Well, yeah, and misogynist. They're all about killing women. And it's like, do you know what these movies are about? I mean, I always hate that, the whole, they're just about killing women and oh my goodness. It's famous now, but a YouTube channel called The Kill Count, or Dead Meat. That's their podcast. I think the show is The Kill Count, where he will, you know, keep track of all the victims and, you know, all the movies and all that. And like 90% of the time, there are more men getting cut up and killed and brutalized and murdered in horrible ways than the women by a large margin.
Well, we were doing research on that before that show even started, and we came to the same conclusion. Like we went through this whole, I have a book somewhere with all of my notes because we were going to write a book and then it just, other stuff happened. But
we still might.
But I have all of these notes where we would watch slashers and I would take note of everything. Was it raining? Is there a body dump at the end? How many men got killed and how? How many women got killed and how? What was there
the
a
final
mask?
girl a virgin? Because, you know, those are the rules.
Yeah, right. But it was a final girl. That was the important part. It was a final girl, so that means one more.
Sometimes there was a final couple. Sometimes,
very rarely it's a final guy.
And sometimes there was a final guy, but it's extremely rare. But you know, Nightmare 2.
Helping.
Yep. There's a couple. Many.
What?
Well, hell, the Bernie.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yep.
Alfred.
This fucking guy.
So he's the bone chuck.
Alfred
was the bone chuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys ever heard that term?
What term?
Bone chuck.
No, bone chuck. It's like somebody throwing a bone at somebody.
We were watching The Burning sometime last year because we always watch that in the summertime, duh. But we were watching that, and Brian and Alfred. It's that scene where Alfred's running through the woods and he's got knees and elbows flying everywhere because he's all like gangly. And Brian goes, "God, he's such a bone chuck." And I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And he's like,
Bony?
He's like, "You've never heard that?" I'm like, "No."
I'm guessing that was a very localized thing.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it refers to
Wow.
some gangly. I guess it's a guy? Does it have
Most
to be
of the
a guy?
time.
Okay. Some gangly, skinny guy with elbows everywhere. And I was like, I've never heard that term, but okay.
Speaking of local terms and stuff, Christian, I had some things written down. I wanted to ask you. It just occurred to me the other day as I was listening to music. I'm putting together some playlists in my free time because it keeps me busy. And I was thinking about different like hardcore and punk music from the 80s. And I remembered a band. No, you can't find their shit on the iTunes or anything. One song comes up in a compilation of a bunch of other punk bands. But this band was from Canada. This is why I ask you. Did you ever hear of a band called Dayglow Abortions in the 80s?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Proud
I
to be
did.
a Canadian. Okay. All right. Dayglow Abortions. Because you can't find them anymore, but I used to have the cassette. And people say this is a band from Canada. And they were this fucking hardcore punk type band. It was great shit. Okay.
I totally forgot about them. It's funny that you mentioned it because I hadn't even thought of them in a very, very long time. Wow.
How about this band? They're not from Canada, but it's a name that came up around the same time, and I thought it was a funny name. Gay Bikers on Acid. Anybody ever hear of this band?
No.
No.
That one I have not heard of.
Okay. It was a punkish.
Gay Bikers on Acid.
Yeah, Gay Bikers on Acid. But gay was spelled Gaye for some reason. But that's what it was. Gay Bikers on Acid. Anyway.
Are one of their last names gay? Maybe that's the reason why.
I don't know, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I just wanted to know about Dayglow Abortions.
Or maybe they're from
Bone
gay.
Chuck would be a great name for a band.
Actually, it
Bone
would.
Chuck? Yeah.
Bone Chuck.
Bone Chuck.
We actually came across a new band last night that I'd never seen before, but it's called Windrose. And
Jesus.
It's for when power metal isn't nerdy enough.
Oh my God.
And these guys, it's fucking great. These guys are it's a metal band, and they are so
They
nerdy.
sing almost exclusively about dwarves.
Yeah, there is a song called Diggy Hole.
Wow.
And the lyrics are, I am a dwarf, I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole. I am a dwarf, I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, digging a hole. And you can't get more straightforward than that. Plus, the lead singer looks like a fucking dwarf. I mean, and they go all out with like axes and everything. All of their videos are very like cinematic.
So they're more Man-O-War than Man-O-War?
Oh,
exactly. That's what Brian said last night. He's like, these guys are like Man-O-War times 10.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But it was really fun. Like, the music is good.
The music's good. The
really
lyrics
good.
I can't take seriously. But...
No, they're goofy, but the music is straight up. Like, it was so good. So
Did they progress?
I love these guys.
Did they progress with their lyrics? Do they have like a catalog of music where they started one year and they started writing better lyrics?
I don't know. I don't think they possess it all because we only watched a couple of videos, and like I think 3 out of the 4 we watched were about fucking dwarves.
Yeah.
I kid you not. They have our
About
hard on
fucking
for
them
dwarves.
or just about dwarves?
About dwarves.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they're having sex in there too, so.
Have you ever seen a little person raped in a movie?
2 = 1. Sorry.
What?
No.
It just occurred to me. We were talking about rapes, male on male rape earlier. Now it's a disturbing thing. And you said fucking dwarfs. And the thought just occurred to me. Have we ever seen a little person raped in a movie? I don't think it's been done.
I'm sure that kink out there exists for some people, but.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
We should do it in our movie. Let's have a...
No reason whatsoever. I'll throw that into the rewrite, even though it doesn't fit the story whatsoever. It will be like the Banana Girl in Friday 4.
What's that movie?
The Banana Girl.
What's that movie out of nowhere when there's the little person on the hobby horse that just in the cowboy hat that just goes galloping across the screen? Like it's just out of nowhere.
What?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
But it's like It's a little person dressed as a cowboy, and he's on a hobby horse, and then he just goes across, and it's like in a dream sequence,
Yeah,
maybe.
well,
or
that's
something.
why.
But it's so random, and I can't remember what it is. But it's a comedy.
Yeah, I
Well,
can't.
Huh.
Brian says that you and him are currently riding the hobby horse.
Remember.
What movie?
That is
Anybody?
Breakfast Club, isn't it?
Yep, it went
Yes.
perfect because it's you and Brian, so it even works out better. You riding the hobby horse. That's another movie I couldn't get enough of, but that's. You want to hear the slasher list? I'll give you the slasher list.
I want to write it down. Not that
Now-
so I don't forget.
Well, people do want to hear. People have asked me about it in chat, and I got a message sent to me too. So, okay, here's what we have: The Majorettes, which you can find on Tubi.
Seen it.
Yeah, I can't wait to
John
see
Russo.
it. Bloody Moon is also on Tubi.
We own it.
Nice, nice. Home Sweet Home, I've already mentioned. Everything else is on YouTube unless otherwise, said. Blood Song is on YouTube.
Oh, that's the one with Frankie Avalon.
Yep.
Is that the one?
Oh, in '82.
Yeah.
I've seen another Avalon movie.
I saw
but
that.
not one.
I saw that one for the '82 show. I'm scratching off the list.
Oh,
Do
there you
yourself
go.
a favor, scratch it off your list.
However, that's what I'm saying. You have to take this all with the caveat.
Yeah.
I'm intending to watch these and have fun with them. I would never sit and watch it by myself.
You're
It's
gonna
just not
love Blood Moon.
cool. I'm excited. Okay, so Bloody Moon, Blood Song, Death Screams.
That one
Oh.
I've never heard of.
No, that's House of Death. Same thing.
Oh,
Dave, I
okay.
thought you've seen this one. This is
Maybe
the one
I
that just
did.
got re-released from Arrow, and you could finally see it in color because the one on YouTube sucks. It drains all the color from it. It's like pretty much you had VHS and maybe a DVD copy that was slightly better.
Is that the one
but-
where the kids are at the carnival?
Yes.
And then,
That's
okay,
the
yeah,
one.
I've seen it.
See, I guess I did see it, but I forgot. But we'll see. Okay, Honeymoon Horror.
I
Don't even
think
know
I
that
looked that one up when you sent me your list. I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay, Honeymoon Horror. Unhinged. That's from 1982.
I've seen that.
There's a couple
Yeah,
Unhinged.
I've seen that.
Sledgehammer.
Oh.
I figured it's
That's what I
bad
was
because
thinking about.
I'm
It's
telling
SOV,
you, yeah, and I'm
right?
telling you,
Yeah.
it was like the very first straight-to-video
Yeah.
movie, and it is not good.
No.
Not.
And I don't
good.
like
Not
that
even.
Lots of slow-mo,
Shit.
Not
horrible
even.
acting.
Not even fun. Not good. It is.
No.
I want to say that's on Shudder. I think
It
Joe
is.
Bob just did
He
it.
did. Yeah. The same night he did Things.
Okay, so if you want to watch it, at least watch it with Joe Bob. It might make it passable.
Why did
Oh,
I save this?
horrible.
There's a reason I saved it though. Let's see, 1.5 out of 4. Oh, okay. This guy says 8. A choice crummy chunk of vintage cheap 80s slasher crud. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, I think honestly, that's a movie that I
Recommend.
guess it's not at all good, but I would say watch it just for the historical value.
It's worth that,
yeah.
yeah.
It does have
Historical.
historical
Always the
value,
bright
and
side.
it's worth. Yeah, that's me. You know me. I'm the but they tried. Yeah.
Well, this is the
That was
reason.
another one that my neighbors had at their house. And I remember even at my young age going, this is really bad.
Shit. No, this one, here's why I saved it. I found it. There's a review here. It's a 6 out of 10. It says, offers some fun for bad movie lovers. That's
see
what
that.
it took.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I took it. So if it's going to be something I can laugh at enough, I'm going to give it a day in court. That's what it comes down to. Okay, Sledgehammer, The Silent Scream. The Silent Scream I may
Oh.
have seen before, but I don't know.
Is that's not Silent? Oh, no, I'm thinking Silent Madness, the 3D one.
That's what I was thinking of, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
The
if I've seen
Silent-
Silent Scream.
I'll have to look it up. Let's see. The Silent Scream,
Okay.
if I can type.
I feel like I remember the cover being all red. Unless
No,
I'm
but it's a
still
mouth.
thinking of.
It's a close-up of a mouth opening. It's like teeth. You could see them. It's like a close-up.
That's
The
what the
silent
Death
mouth
Screams,
I
too.
wrote. Fucking idiot.
Silent
1979 also.
Oh.
But hold on. Here's the, that's what it looks like.
I've seen
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terror so sudden there is no time to scream.
I can't remember a
79.
damn thing about it, so it must be really good. But I've seen that. I know I've seen that movie.
Cameron Mitchell and Barbara Steele. Interesting. Wow. Oh yeah,
I
a
will
nice
always
sleeper.
watch a Cameron Mitchell movie.
There you go. See, a superior early '80s slasher sleeper, silent but deadly.
Oh, we
Intriguing
have
proto
this.
slasher.
This is in
Among
one
the
of
best
our box
slashers.
sets.
Maybe that's why. Okay.
Yeah, we have this.
Well, there you go. Let's see. So that's on the list. Silent Scream. Silent Madness.
That's the one we're just talking about. Yeah.
It's a kind of a basic slasher, but I always liked it. It was fun, I thought.
Okay. Here's one I have seen.
It was also filmed in 3D, so they have all these sticking things at the
Oh.
camera type stuff going on.
Well, that's fun.
And it got released. It got released in recently. Whoever put it out, I think, did a real like the true 3D. Like if you got one of
cool.
the TVs that I've got and the PlayStation 3 or whatever to play it on, you can watch it in true 3D, not the red and blue version. But
Nice.
I don't have it. It's really expensive.
Mhm.
Of course.
But I almost wanted to try to track it down because I'm a sucker for fucking 3D.
Yeah, me too.
And if it's a
Yeah.
slasher in 3D, why not?
Right. Okay, this one I've seen before. I actually own it, but I've only watched it once. And I don't know if I've watched it since I purchased it. I think I saw it back in the day. But it's more known. It's Splatter University. But
Oh,
people know
yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
That's more of a known flick.
You know what? People hate that movie. It's got a horrible rating. I'm not saying it was good, but when I put it on the year we were watching the slasher movies, I enjoyed it, like you were saying. But I did watch it by myself, but it was dumb fun. It was stupid as hell, but I kind of liked it. But I remember bringing that up, and Brandon thought I was crazy. And it's got a shit review, a shit rating. I think it's like really low on IMDb. A lot of people hate that movie.
It can't be too low. There's a well, maybe I just added it because I knew I
The
had
Trauma
it.
re-released it too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that what it was? It was a
Yeah.
Trauma release? Oh, okay. Splatter University. I want to see how low the rating is. Okay, 1984. It's a 4. It's an even 4, which, for a shit slasher, that's okay. Incredibly awful. Eccentric entry in the 80s slasher cycle. Okay.
Eccentric. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Only for slasher diehard fans. Could have been better. Bah, 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 bah. Okay. Moderately entertaining.
Everything could be better. I love that. I mean,
Right.
I use that argument a lot too. I mean, I think it's just something to say sometimes. Yeah, of course it could have been better. Fucking.
What
Right.
couldn't? Right. What couldn't be better?
Anyways,
Okay. Blood Hook, which you guys have already talked about.
Oh my God, yes.
That's such a fun movie.
We just went back because I told you I bought the Blu-ray for that. We went back and watched all the special features, and that's when I realized that the Jim Mallon who made that movie
Yep.
is the Jim Mallon from Mystery Science Theater. And I was like,
Oh.
holy shit. But so we watched the whole how that movie came to be and all of this stuff, which was actually pretty fascinating. But I love that movie. So that's my new obsession. I am obsessed with Blood Hook.
that's
oh,
hilarious.
You've got to watch it. And that one
Does
you
it have
can
a
watch
cool
on
poster?
that one's on Tubi.
Oh, I kind
You've
of like
seen
the
it before.
poster.
The
girl
poster is
isn't
kind
the
of
girl kind of
meatballs.
screaming?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why I have to
Oh
pose
yeah.
for the video. People watch
And for-
the
Yeah,
some
she's being
reason-
fished. Yeah.
She looks like Linnea Quigley to me. I think they
Yeah, well,
did that on purpose.
Well, the girl, they actually
She's being
interviewed
fished.
one of the actresses from the movie, and she's like, she was talking about the cover, and she's like, I don't know who that was.
Who the hell was
like,
that?
I have no idea who that was. But it was one of those like we put the cover has nothing to do with the movie. It just is because it's an animated
Yeah.
cover, and it's not animated, but
It's from Disney.
it's drawn. But
it's great.
Illustrated.
Cartoon.
It's
is what I'm
Ariel.
trying to say.
Ariel on the cover.
Illustrated. It's fucking sweet. I
Illustrated,
love these.
yes.
I love these. Brian said that. I took these. That's why these are the kind of posters I have hanging up. I love these fucking animation. It's so cool. Okay. Where the hell was I? Blood Hook. Oh, Evil Laugh.
Oh, Jesus.
Horrible. That's the one that I watched. It was one of my lowest rated slashers of that year. And someone else said, "You're crazy. It was good." I'm like, "Are you fucking mad?" You did watch this one because the guy was reading the Fangoria magazine. and
Ashland Gear
it's
is
like-
in it.
the guy wears a rain slick or not a rain slick, what is it? K-way jacket is his his getup, and he has the blue. If I'm not mistaken, he's got the blue, like dishwashing gloves.
You remember it more than I do. All I remember is that
horrible.
stupid ass laugh. Ma!
Well, I hope you enjoy it more, Dave. But I remember it being.
Well,
oh my God,
it's,
that Shadows
people
from
say
Blacker.
it's like bad, like funny bad, like because they keep
It
quoting
is.
lines.
It's enjoyable, kind of, I guess.
That's what I'm going in for with these movies. Because if they were
The guy
great,
with the Fangoria, I remember laughing at. He was funny. So I guess there's some merit in there somewhere.
Okay. Berserker. How about Berserker?
Berserker.
I was
Right?
gonna say, do you like making fuck, Berserker?
Yeah.
Did he say?
Did he just
making
say making fuck? Yeah.
This is the cover. I distinctly remember this cover
Yeah.
at the video
Yeah.
store.
It's not. I don't remember it being that
I've never
bad.
seen that.
Doesn't look like a
The,
slasher. That's why I didn't rent it.
It's like Viking Nordics or something like that. Like they're on. I'm pretty sure something like that. I don't know. Something. If I'm going by memory, but I remember liking that one.
Okay.
What year was
Yeah.
that
Again.
from?
What'd I say? 86, 87? Let's see.
I think you're
87.
right.
Nobody's saying anything really good about it. But there's a reason I want to see it. I forgot. Cliches all in, only for the most undemanding horror fans. But this guy says a hidden 80s slasher gem. There's always one. There it is.
For the most undemanding horror fan.
Fabulous
That's got me
white
all
bar
over it.
is really low.
Yeah.
nice campy 80s horror. See, I don't know. I get a couple in there. I'm like, okay, that's fine. It'll be laughed at, I'm sure. Okay, Blood Frenzy.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've
that
seen-
was one of the ones in the big boxes at our video store. The oversized box, because they were like, I guess they just assumed, it's bigger on the shelf, so people are going to reach and grab for it.
It's a great
just
fucking
remember that.
poster, man. Look at that.
Takes place.
Yep.
Yeah, it takes place out in the desert, I believe.
Wow.
Not as
Yeah.
bad as some of the reviews that I remember reading way back in the day. That Chaz Baldwin guy, I remember gave it a dog, said it was a piece of shit. So I was expecting a piece of shit, and again, not great, but like don't go in the woods type. You get some, laughs out of it, I think.
This actually has good ratings. A 7, a 6, a fucking another 6, an 8, an 8. Some people like it. Some people think it's a hidden gem. A 7. So I don't know. Hard to say. It'll probably be shitty, but whatever. Okay. Body Count from 1986. There's a few different body count movies. This one can be watched on IMDb channel they have that goes through Amazon. It's free. That's where you can see it.
The guy that directed Cannibal Holocaust, did he direct this one?
Diodato?
Thinking that. Check it out. I could be wrong.
Body Count 86. Let's see.
I feel like that has come up in conversation.
It is.
With
Diodato.
myself recently, and I don't know why. And what I mean by that is I was looking up something else, and that came across my field of vision, and I don't remember why. But that was one that I was like, I couldn't remember if I had seen it, but I wanted to check it out.
All I remember is them getting a lot of shit over that song Cop Killer.
Nice. Good old Ice-T. Absolutely.
I saw Body Count live.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
I saw them live, and they sang that song with a big trigger warning introduction before there's trigger warning was a thing, by Ice-T talking about, we're not talking about those good cops. We're talking about them bad cops. Cop killer! And we all went crazy.
That's fucking great. Here's what everybody knows now, and I've had it for years, and I only watched the first 15 minutes, and I even have the Blu-ray now because it got re-released a couple years ago. So everyone knows it now. It's not unknown, but Edge of the X. It's a Mexican slasher.
Oh yeah, we have that. Yeah.
Yeah, see, it got released. I think it finally came
Shudder.
to about 2 years ago. So it's probably on Shudder now as well. But I had this bootleg not VHS, a VHS rip on DVD for years. And I watched the first 15 minutes, and I remember there was a car wash massacre in the beginning, or a kill, and that was cool. And then I didn't watch it Year of the Slasher because it was a Mexican slasher, and we decided to stick North American. So that's the only reason I didn't watch it. So it's there. So
Yeah,
people
I
know
liked
about
it.
that one.
I actually enjoyed it. I I
Yeah.
had never seen it either. I watched it when it got that re-release, and it was enjoyable. There is the best part of it, and Brian, maybe I don't know if Jamie you've seen it as well, but there's banter, and you could tell it was a one-take fucker because the guys are fucking up their lines in the take, and they just keep going on with the discussion. Fantastic.
There was no second takes in that film.
Yeah, fantastic.
Man. Okay, 1987. Night Screams.
Oh, I don't even. That doesn't sound familiar.
That's a
Well,
very
it's-
generic title, but I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm picturing the poster in my head.
Me too.
No, here's
I'm
the
feeling
poster.
like it was that
You
video
know what? It
game.
looks like it's a bagger. It looks like there's someone on the cover of a freaking, it's someone in a bag, like Christmas Evil. Or
Okay, no, I've never seen that before.
Oh no, I have seen that. I don't know if I've seen the movie, but I've definitely seen this poster. The one with
Is that a slasher?
Yeah, a football star throws a party for his friends. 2 insane killers escape from a nearby asylum on the same night, and in their efforts to elude authorities, wind up at the party. So close enough.
That's getting an asterisk because I've not seen that.
No, I've never seen that either.
It's not getting good ratings or anything, but whatever.
Well, not surprised.
Right. Okay, Offerings. People probably know about this one.
Oh yeah, we just covered that on ABC's.
It's a total fucking. Oh really?
It's Halloween.
Yeah, it's a Halloween ripoff. That's all I've heard.
Yeah.
I have the poster down
The
here because
music
I always
too,
loved
correct?
it.
Yes,
Huh?
the music.
They rip off the music
Yeah.
note for
Right.
note. I don't know how the hell they got away with that.
Yeah.
And
I
it's a
remember
guy who he does something in the beginning. I don't want to spoil it for you, Dave. He does something in the
Oh, yeah.
beginning, and then he ends up
Yep.
in a hospital, and then he escapes from the hospital and goes back home. And I mean, it's Halloween. It's basically Halloween, but it does
bet.
have an interesting. I do think that the motivation for the killer is interesting, and then how it plays with the final girl.
And I do
Yeah, that's-
enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
I will never say it's a good movie,
It's a fun movie,
but it's a fun movie.
yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm more curious than anything. Of course, it's an 80s slasher. I want to see it, and the Halloween ripoff comparisons make me know
it's
I'm gonna have
blatant.
fun. I'm gonna laugh at it. I'm like,
You'll have
you
fun
know?
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have talked about it on ABC's if I didn't think it was worth talking about. So it was a whole lot of fun. Like, it's not good, but it's fun.
When did you talk about it on ABC?
It's
Now
the
I'm
most
confused.
recent episode. It's the
How-
one that came out.
Episode O.
Because you're on O. So
Yeah.
wait a minute. Hold on a second. When did that drop?
The 17th, something like that.
Okay,
Sounds
I'm
right.
at the one before. Okay, that's what I'll be listening to next. Okay, that's cool. All right, and here's the last one I put on there. More is to come, but this is how far I've gotten so far. Hell's Trap.
That
Hmm.
one I don't
Heard
think
that
I've
one
heard
either.
of.
Can't fucking
Hell's
find
Trap.
it anywhere. The only somebody has it on their Plex. That's the only way I have any type of fucking access
Not me.
to it. No, not you.
I
Look
will
at this
warn
poster.
you, Dave, for offerings, we spoil the shit out of that one because it's from '89. So we don't
I'll
hold
wait.
back. We pretty much walk through that whole movie.
was it?
So watch it first. Offerings. So watch it before you listen.
Well,
to the
to be
show.
honest, I mean, there ain't much to spoil.
No, that's true. There's not.
There you go.
There's not. But
Have you seen Halloween? Okay, you've seen this movie.
Right. This is a Mexican film.
Like with
Mhm.
Annie, like that, where she goes out to the car and then has to go back from the car. And so while she's doing that, I was singing the "Oh Paul, I give you all," like,
Awesome.
No keys.
but please.
Fucking great. This movie has good ratings. But it's a Mexican slasher. It hasn't been seen. Only 211 people have given it a rating on fucking IMDb. So it's very unseen. Probably has only a VHS release, and it's not on even YouTube. Usually that's where you find them. YouTube,
Yeah.
maybe Tubi or
That's the
something. But
best.
it's on Plex. If you know someone that has it, it's loaded up. But it's like very hard to find. So it's another one of those Mexican slashers.
I'll tell you a few to avoid for sure. It's Terror at 10 Killer. Do
Oh
not
no,
watch that.
I love that movie.
What?
It's not good. It's not
What?
good.
I love it.
Oh my lord.
Here's the story
Man.
behind that movie. Have you ever seen The Last Slumber Party?
Yep.
Okay.
Because I thought it was part of the. I thought it was the
Party
part 3 of
series.
Slumber Party
Yeah.
3. Yeah, at the time. Yeah.
It's not. It's also very terrible, but it's fucking hilarious. I love that movie so much. So for Christmas, Brian went to get me The Last Slumber Party, but the only way he could get it was in a 2-pack with Terror at 10 Killer. And so, of course, when we got it, I was like, well, now we have to watch this movie. And he didn't like it.
No.
But I love it. It's so
Wow.
It's so bad.
Some of the ones that rounded out the bottom of my list, because I still have my list from when we did it, is Terror at 10 Killer. I gave a 1 out of 10.
That sounds about right.
Dream Maniac, 0 out of 10. The Forest, 1 out of 10. Sweet 16 and Evil Laugh, 2 out of 10. Bloody New Year, 3. Fatal Pulse was horrible, 3 out of 10. And Shadows Run Black with Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner's in it. That's the only reason to watch it. And there's nudity. But the movie itself is so fucking bad. And
I've never seen that.
Shadows Run Black on YouTube.
I don't think I have either.
Huh.
I got to look at my list. I remember that I think my lowest rated one was Doom Asylum because I thought it was absolutely terrible. But some people like that, so I don't know. Who am I? I got to look at my list.
Somebody likes everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, like Terror at 10 Killer. I mean, I kind of ironically love it. You know, it's not good at all, but I think it's entertaining. I just really, and you have to fuck up real bad for me to not and get something out of a slasher.
Yeah.
You know, like Home Sweet Home, to be honest, if I could have seen it more, like if it wasn't so dark and you could see a little more what was going on, I might even enjoy that one more. But
I don't know,
it just was so technically poor.
The kid named Mistake.
That was so funny.
He loves to dress up like a mime and play guitar at people.
It was ridiculous, and I couldn't tell that was his name. We thought once or twice they said Mistake, but then a couple times we thought they said Steak. So
I thought he said Steak.
See,
I was like, did he just call
that's
him
the fun. That's the fun of these movies. You can't hear what they're saying, and you're trying to guess what they said, or why is this guy fucking dressed up this way, and why did this person say this, and just the nonsensical shit going on.
Also, you know, one thing about that movie that I will give them credit for is they have a little kid in it. And that's not, you don't often see little kids in slasher movies. Now, she didn't really do much of anything, but they were concerned about her. Like it was, you know, there was a portion of the plot that went to keeping her safe, and she wasn't ever really in any danger that we saw. But I thought that was interesting. You don't see that usually.
Best part of that movie for me is when he does the Madman Mars hood slam.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. He just comes out of nowhere and body slams the hood.
And the guy's legs are kicking.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think they have seen Madman, so they mentioned it. They said, "Oh, I never seen a kill like that."
Madman came after that, so yeah, they did that first, legit.
Wait, what?
Right.
When was
so? What year did I thought?
No,
this
Madman came out
Madman.
No. This is 81. Madman's 82.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But that's one. I don't think that my brother and my buddy have seen Madman. I'm not sure. I got to put in because I remember that happened, that kill, and I was like, "Wow, it's done better." It's fun. It has some charm to it. It's
you know what
I
love about,
I don't love it, but
I love about Madman is there's one scene where there's the axe that's stuck in the.
I love that.
That's stuck in the tree trunk or the stump, and he just comes along and just whoop right.
That is good storytelling. That's how you do it. You know, I mean, they have this axe that's sticking out of a tree trunk, and two guys both together try to pull this axe out, and they can't do it. Madman walks up and one-handed just yanks it out and keeps going.
So yeah, without actually telling you,
that just shows you
showing you how powerful he is, and I just thought that was a really cool moment.
Yeah,
you know,
that is cool. And you know what? Home Sweet Home. Something happened in that movie that I've never seen, and it was impressive. We were all like, wow, that was a good kill and a good setup. And towards the end of the movie, they're going to look for one of the missing people, and the killer smashes through the window of the door. There's like, there's a door, there's a frame, whatever. Smashes through and grabs the guy. But when it happens, he's on the other side. Then we flash back to the killer who's on the other side, and he comes back in. And when the thing was smashed, a big shard of glass came off the window and stuck to the fucking killer's neck. So what he did was he had it stuck on his neck or his cheek. I forgot what. He took it off of his face and he slit the fucking guy's throat with it. It was fucking cool. I've never seen that before.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could physically see that or
No,
not.
I know exactly the scene he's talking about, and I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
We had to rewind it, but someone said, did that just happen? I'm like, I didn't notice. Then you go back and you see it. I was like, holy fuck, that is what they did. Yeah.
Here's one that's possibly for your list. Have you ever seen Open House?
Yes, You're the Slasher I saw, and I liked it. It was fun. There was a cool murder weapon. I remember that much.
I know. I love he takes a toilet plunger handle or something and sticks razor blades in it, and he starts whacking people with it.
I remember way back when thinking that was like a standout in the sea of slashers. But then when I revisited it for the year of the slasher, thinking, what was I thinking at the time? So I got to go back and revisit again, because it's always just the mood you're in, especially that year where we're just devouring movie after movie after movie. And sometimes you're just like, I'm in a glut right now and I hate everything I'm watching. So you got to take a break and come back to it. But I remember that with the real estate, right? And
Adrienne
what's her name
Barbeau.
is in it? Yeah, Adrienne Barbeau said, yep.
Oh, dude, I watched something last night. Adrienne Barbeau was in it. It was Dream On. I don't know if you guys ever saw that show in the 90s called Dream On. It was on
HBO show, yeah.
Yeah, you can't get it anywhere now. And I searched high and low, but luckily my buddy found it and he put it on his Plex. So I don't know why they don't have the rights. Maybe because they show all those flashbacks to older movies throughout it, right?
All the clips from older stuff that's keeping them.
Yeah,
that's putting it back out.
It's too bad, 'cause that's a real fucking funny show. It's almost like people have even gone so far as to say that it predates Seinfeld and Friends about being a show about nothing in a manner of speaking. And it kind of is if you think about it, but it's a great show. I've always loved it, and I'm in like season 3, but I'm watching it last night, and his son is dating this real troublesome girl, and then he eventually meets her mother, and the mother is fucking Adrienne Barbeau, and she comes in and she was looking great too, and she plays a bad girl too, and it was cool though. It was good to see her pop up here. I was like, look at this, Adrienne Barbeau and fucking Dream On. But yeah, see, still no horror for me. I have watched nothing but documentaries. I mean, Home Sweet Home was for kicks. All I've been doing is watching I watched all those movies, a couple shows, and it's all these documentaries now. And I've been on this still on the cult trip. This fucking about this cult, that cult. Then I watched Religious the other day.
Oh my God, I love that movie. I love it. Well, I'm a big Bill Maher fan. I mean, I think I mentioned that on the last show.
Yeah.
And when that movie came out, I watched it a bunch of times in a row. I would just kept watching it because it just I don't know.
It pokes holes in every major religion, and it has these different people doing this and that. And there is a lot to it. It's cool. Honestly, it affected me so much that it even made me question something that I believe in, and that's something that's in my faith as it is. So it's like, wow. See, that's what I'm saying. Where people usually can't have their minds changed or be moved when they're presented with facts. And it was something that I heard before, just like in rumor. But when he put it and he was talking about this, and this, I'll try to say it quick. It was about how everything they said about Jesus had already been said about.
I knew that's what you were going to say. Yeah.
In the past, I'm like, holy shit. So they just stole the story and applied it to their own person. I'm not saying I don't believe that Jesus walked the earth and said what he said. That is entirely possible. But it made me rethink a lot of my faith about things like that. But they poked holes in everything. But that's just it. Most people, and we talked about it last show, and honestly, this is the last time I'm going to mention this after today, because I'll tell you why. Well, because I'm a guy that basically, I try to live by the golden rule, and if I don't like someone doing something to me, I won't do it to them. So I've said several times, I don't want to hear somebody talking about politics and their leanings and this and that on the podcast. So who am I to get up here and say I don't like either side, so I can talk against both of them? It's still the same thing. So after this now, what I'm saying it's true. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to say that again. But it's like
it's our show.
Do but still, I don't want to be that person. Everything is so. We talked about it last week.
I'll be it for you, Dave. But I know where you're going. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, because I'm watching the Scientology. I'm watching this and everything, and there's a lot of people that are downright intelligent people, people that have PhDs, people that speak intellectually, that do things, a fucking rocket
Cruise.
scientist. All these people. Well, I don't know how smart Tom Cruise is, especially after seeing this. But the thing is, everything I'm watching, it just leads me to believe that intelligence, no matter how smart somebody is, if they're buying into extreme left or extreme right, which is what I think 90% of the people that are into it do, they're really, all your intelligence is just going to waste because anybody can be fucking brainwashed into something. And that's the scariest thing of all. And I just realized it. I was
Look
like,
how many professionals, well, you just watched recently Wild Wild Country. Look how many doctors,
Right.
lawyers, really intelligent, educated, professional people get wrapped up in stuff. And it's not just, I mean, which is why, like, I feel a certain amount of empathy for people who, for whatever reason, they have a weakness that a cult leader can exploit. And it doesn't make you stupid. It just makes you vulnerable.
And I'm not saying this to piss anyone off, but that's pretty much how I feel about all religion. And there's plenty of smart, intelligent people in various religions all over the world, but they're clearly still, no matter how smart they are, still missing something.
Right.
And religion fills that for them. And, I'm actually envious. I wish I had that. I wish I had faith. I don't, but it would be nice to have that comfort, have that, extra layer of something.
That's something that you can turn to.
Yeah, in your darkest times and all that.
No one else to turn to.
I ain't got that. I just got nothing. You
got me.
I got you.
Well, just as far as religion's sake, I would consider myself like a theist or maybe a Buddhist if I'm going to go towards something. That is like how I believe in it. But here's the thing. If I die and there is nothing in the afterlife, big fucking deal. It's no different than this guy here who is an atheist and doesn't believe in anything, and he dies and nothing happens. So what? I don't fear that. I try to be a good person, not because I'm afraid of going to hell or anything, just because it's the right thing to do. I don't want to be
that's
an
what's
asshole.
Important. If
right?
you are only not an asshole because you think that someone's going to spank you in the afterlife for being a bad
You're
boy,
not a good person.
then you're not a good person. If you, what makes a good person is that a good person does the right thing because that's the right thing to do,
and that's
not
why,
because they're afraid of something.
I remember I have had so many arguments with people. I am not religious at all, but I think I'm very moral. I have my own beliefs of what's right and wrong, and I follow them because I think they're right and wrong, not because some guy in the clouds is taking notes on me and he's going to yell at me when I die. So, if I do something, I am firmly aware that what I'm doing is right. Or, sometimes I, do what's wrong, but that's 100% on me. I don't have a scapegoat to give it to. And, or, well, the devil made me do it. No, you're just an asshole.
Now people who do find comfort in religion, I don't. I don't. And I'm actually more of an atheist. Like Brian considers himself
agnostic.
An agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
I am more definitive in my non-belief, but I also don't look down on anyone who does believe in anything, because I think if you can find comfort in something, why would I want to take that away from you? I'm not,
unless they're hurting others.
Well, that makes you point. No, that's it. As long as you don't push your fucking agenda on somebody or hurting others, then everything's fine. Your political belief is your belief. Your religious belief is your belief. But it's the people that feel the need to say, no, you need to do this or you need to do that, or you're coming to my church, we're going there. That's the shit I can't stand. Do what you want to do with your life. If it makes you happy, brings you peace, so be it. As long as you're not hurting somebody or putting your feelings or thoughts on somebody else. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Or judging them.
We do this. Yeah, and that's it. Like, I'm the same way. I feel like I'm the exact same way. Will I make a comment about something? Sure, I'll make a comment if I don't believe in something, but I'm trying very consciously not to put my beliefs into somebody else. Let you make up your own mind and do your own shit. That's what drives me crazy.
Yeah,
just stop judging.
Sorry, I think you're about to go on, Brian, and I kept yammering.
No,
Well,
no,
there's
you know
what-
me. I have so many. It's just that I've watched all this stuff, and it's funny because I listened
So
the other
Brian.
day. Oh, I'm sorry. What did Brian say? I apologize.
No, go ahead, man.
No,
You're on
that
a roll.
if you interrupted him, I'd rather him go back, and I'll say what I'm going to say after. I apologize.
I was just going to bring a little bit of horror back into this. Recently, we watched what was it? The vampire show on Netflix, Midnight Mass. Is that it?
Okay, I can't wait to watch it.
The Flanagan show?
Yeah, the Flanagan show. Okay, then I'll speak in brief, but there was a woman in there who was very Christian, quote unquote, because in my book she's not at all. But there's many people like this where it's not even it's important to them that they're right, but it's equally important, if not more so, that you're wrong.
Right.
And it's part of their faith that they want you to suffer. They want you to go to hell and burn and be tortured for all eternity because you did not believe what I did. You see how smart I was. I was right. I said the correct words to the correct people, and I'm going to get rewarded. And you filthy sinner, you're going to burn in hell forever, and I'm going to sit up there in heaven and laugh at you. And it's just like, that is religion?
Yeah. Well, and whenever people
That's
have
wrong.
that, whenever you see people come across like that, I'm just like, I don't remember that. I don't remember Jesus saying that.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
that is
right. There you
that
go.
doesn't sound very Jesus-y to me. And
At all.
and the thing is, even though I'm not a religious person, if you like read the teachings that are ascribed to Jesus, that is some decent shit. It's like,
well, yeah, he had a lot of good
right.
ideas.
like
Yes.
It's
why,
sad so many of his followers don't follow those ideas.
yeah, let's treat
Right.
each other with respect. Let's treat each other with kindness. And if someone is hurting or if you feel like someone is going down a wrong path and you want to try to help them, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's a good thing to do. But if you then use that like she does, just for the whole point of being able to say, look, she's like that kid in school that she's like, she's the one who writes the names on the board when the teacher's out of the room or whatever.
Teacher. Yeah.
And it's like, what are you looking for? What kind of reward are you looking for? But at the expense of other people.
Yep.
Like, shouldn't the Christian thing to do be to try to bring people, like, to make people happy, to
Right.
be good to people, to treat people well? I've never heard. I actually ran across a memory on Facebook the other day. I went to post the show, and I'll check my memories sometimes when I go on Facebook, and that's as far as I go. But I just like to scroll through, and there was a meme that I posted where somebody said something about, I don't remember it exactly, but somebody was saying something about gay people, or something bad. And Jesus was like, what did I fucking say? and that was the meme. And I'm just like, yeah, like, it's just like, oh man. When I remember when I was a kid and I was still religious, and we had our preacher was retiring, so we had a new one, couple of new ones would come in, and they would, do a sermon for a week, and then as a congregation, we were voting on who we wanted to replace, to be the replacement. And I would my friends and I would always sit in the front row, and the first thing out of this guy's mouth was, gay people are going to hell. And I was 12. And that was the first thing out of his mouth. I got up and walked out. And my Sunday school teacher came after me, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not listening to him. Like, everything that just came out of his mouth is the exact opposite of what we've been taught, which is that you don't judge, that if anybody's going to judge, it's God. And I was like, I don't want to hear anything else he has to say. And I was like, and I still remember that because
Don't start crying.
well, I mean, I was like, what the fuck? Who are you? Like, why?
Yeah.
Who are you to say this? And you're not God. And I don't even believe in God anymore. But at the time, I was just like, you are the bad guy.
Right. He's casting judgment. He's the
Yes.
one that if there's God and he's going to cast judgment on anybody, it's going to be him, because Christians are not supposed to pass judgment, and they're not supposed to tell people what to do. They're not even supposed to preach outside of being in church. You're not supposed to do that stuff. You're not supposed to believe in killing. Of course not. That is why none of it makes sense to me. That's why I stay the same. I'm against killing. I'm against all killing. You bring up a topic. You say, should somebody be killed? And I'm always going to say every single time, no, it is not my business to decide who lives and who dies and when. That's just me. But at least I'm straight with it. If you look at the left and you look at the right, they say, well, killing's okay here, but not here. And they both do it. And that's never made sense to me. It's just like, okay, which are you? And don't call yourself a Christian if you're talking about going to war, because Christ would be against war. And of course, if you're in politics, Christ would also be against politics, because that's something else that is not right to be doing. So
and yet we had that little thing called the Crusades like 5 different times.
Mm-hmm. We had all that shit, and they all fucked everything up. So I don't blame the idea of God and what Jesus Christ himself is in the scripture. I don't blame that. I believe people
it's all the
misinterpreting
interpretation.
Yes.
Yes, and it's the same thing with politics. You have
Well,
basic
and it's
elements
the
on both parties.
interpretation in the interest of their own, in their own interest, like the church has done that for centuries.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we'll interpret this the way that, looks best for us. Or
there
way
are so many books and chapters from the Bible that aren't in the Bible.
Right.
Men voted on that. They decided which word, supposedly from God, which word from God is good enough to be in their official book, and which word was, we just don't agree with that, so we're just going to put it over here.
So
I'm looking for the unabridged.
Bullshit.
Did they release the unabridged version?
The
But it's like
director's
me.
cut.
Yeah, we're getting the Reader's
director's-
Digest version.
Yeah.
But I'm just so against it all. I'm so against the left and the right now, because everybody's extreme. There's no middling anymore. Like there's no everyone's so strong into what they're doing, and they're so brainwashed that even if they are intelligent people, this guy's so smart. I'm always thinking, well, how smart is he if he's buying into the left or the right? Because what they're doing now, they're extremists. There are no 10% of the people are not extremists. They're regular old school Democrats or old school Republicans. 90% of the people now it's all extremist and it's opposition. And my opinions are of none of it. And it's like, I have voted twice in my life. And I'll even tell you who I voted for. I voted for Clinton, and I voted for, who the hell was it? John Kerry, just because I wanted Bush out. And I have not liked any president in my lifetime since Reagan. I thought of the presidents we've seen, I thought Clinton maybe did the best job, but everybody since them are all bad. I don't like anything they've done. Anything they've said has all been negative. So I'm not for either side. I'm happy Obama got in when he got in, just because of what it represented. And even though I don't like to look at it in race, I like it to see that people see, hey, you know what? You can get out of the position you're in. And the same thing with Kamala Harris. Again, I don't like Biden either. So it isn't that. But I did like to see her in the White House, because now my daughter has enough self-esteem.
What's wrong with Sleepy Joe?
She's fine. She's fine. Yeah. So my daughter's fine. She doesn't need someone else to say you can do anything in life. But it does speak to some people who are in like ghetto areas, and their parents are comfortable being there. It's another form of segregation. That's like, okay, we're just going to live off of government handouts forever. And they're going to see this, hey, we don't have to do this. We can better ourselves and do this. I see that as positives for them. So those are the good things I think came out of that. But there's a lot of things I'm not against for. But at the end of the day, Chuck D is the person who formed me. I was always rebellious before I ever listened to Public Enemy. My mother used to say, you're a rebel. Yeah, for sure. But my mother used to say, you're a rebel without a cause in the 80s. And I didn't know what it meant. You know what I mean? Because I was always rebellious. However, when I started listening to Public Enemy, he is the man that taught me everything I needed to know about wrongdoings in the government and Ray Gunn and everything he was doing. And then freaking stuff that happened to black folks. And Chuck D will tell you, you can't count on government handouts, and you can't count on freaking the right or the left. He'll tell you that. So it's like,
because all that stuff does is keep you beholden to them. That's the whole idea of that. Get the masses to do this thing, to accept this thing, then they start counting on it. They start depending on it, and that gives the government control.
That
how many
sounded
people
very
vote?
conspiracy theorist, which he's not.
No, I'm not. But it's fucking true.
But then again, how many people vote again? What is the vote count in your federal elections?
Oh, it's
Lower and
horrible.
lower now.
I think more people
Like-
voted in this last election than have in a
Yeah,
very long
because
time.
a lot of people got sick of Trump's horseshit, but
Yeah, no, okay, but where I'm going with it, okay, so out of 350 million people, I know not all of them can vote because they're not of 18 years of age or older, but I don't know what
it's sad.
Okay.
Our voter turnout for like the national election is usually maybe 30-40%, maybe. And that's of eligible voters. So that's
Yes.
everybody who's
Yeah.
18, everybody who's a US citizen, everybody who's not like a felon or anything like that. These are people that could vote. They just choose not to.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
In the United States right now, less people are voting than ever before, and less people belong to organized religion than ever before. And guess what? I'm one of them, and I say, fuck it, that's what they get. That's what they get. I'm glad they were about. I'm not even a registered voter, nor will I register if there's a libertarian that should sneak in there or someone that I feel is good to put in there. But I'm not going to vote fucking Republican and I'm not going to vote Democrat at this time. I'm not going to do it just because it's my right to do it. If I don't like either, it makes no sense to fucking vote on them. For
See,
me,
I
that's where
always,
sit,
I
you know?
always vote, but I never vote party. I vote the person.
That's
I have voted for
wonderful. Right.
Democrats. I have voted for Republicans. For me, it's more important who the person is than what party they belong to.
Yeah,
Right.
I've never been a
Well,
a
it
yellow
should be
dog
that.
Democrat.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place. You know, I don't.
But nowadays,
I don't
forget
do
it.
straight ticket.
But I wanted to
That's-
say real quick, Dave, that I think you hit the nail on the head. You've said one word a lot, and that is now.
Yes.
I think things now are more divisive than ever before.
Well,
Sadly.
you know why? And
Divide and conquer has won. They've won. The bad guys
Yeah.
have won. It's never going to be fixed, and everybody fell for it.
And maybe it's because I'm an older generation or something. You know, I'm not ancient, but, you know, I'm Gen X, yo. And, but I mean, taking it back to the whole faith and all that, my best friend forever, he is a very devout Christian, but he is the best kind of Christian in my book.
Nice.
He leaves me the fuck alone. He doesn't preach at me. He doesn't thump his Bible on me. He just, you know, he believes what he believes, and I believe what I believe, and we're best friends.
your mom is like that too.
Yeah,
You're-
she's
I mean-
another one she's very devout. She believes, you know, in Jesus and angels and everything, but she leaves me alone to find my own way.
She'll even say things sometimes. She's like, I know you guys don't believe,
Yeah.
but she doesn't trash us for it. She doesn't, you know, tell us we're going to hell. Like it's never like that. It's like, these are your beliefs and these are mine. And then, you know,
That's
But as
good.
far as
That's what it
politics
should be.
go,
That- that's
yeah,
awesome.
that's exactly how it should be.
as far as politics go, my second oldest best friend, he and I are like totally opposites when it comes to politics. Yet we're great friends. You know, we can go out and do stuff. We talk, you know, at least once or twice a week for hours at a time, but just we don't dwell on that. We know we have enough common ground where we don't have to just size each other up by what our political opinion is. And I think nowadays it always comes down to that. It's like, if I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, you're naturally stupid. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're a
Mhm.
libtard. You're,
Yep.
you know, whatever. And vice versa. If I'm a Democrat and you're a Republican,
Right.
well, you're a racist and, you know, it's nobody can find common ground anymore. Nobody sees people as people. They say people as things. Oh, they're a Democrat, so therefore they're liars, they're cheaters, you know, I mean, hell, you got QAnon talking about eating babies and stupid shit like that. I mean,
Yes, but they're still waiting for JFK to show up.
well, yeah, but I mean, it's crazy now how,
There are people still there.
yeah,
Still, months
Still in
later.
Texas,
And I'm like,
yeah.
don't you people have jobs? What do you do?
No, they
that's
don't.
the
They're
thing.
complaining, but they're still living off the government. Oh, all these people do is live off the government. And then I'm looking, well, that's what you're doing. Say, I go collecting for work for people that haven't paid their power bill in fucking 2 years. Meanwhile, these people have fucking Trump flags outside their house. I'm like, wait a minute here. You're going to tell me that you're against fucking government aid, but you're going to sit here and not fucking pay your shit? How are you a Republican? That goes against everything you're supposed to believe in. They're all fucking, all they do is contradict themselves. And there's nothing else I could even say about
this. I think, though, the takeaway is that there are people like us out there. There are people who even in the midst of all the bullshit, we still look at people as people, and
not nearly enough.
And we size people up on how they treat us and how they treat people I care about. You know, that's at the end of the day. I remember, because we all remember a time when you never knew what anybody voted, who anybody voted for. Like, we didn't. That wasn't a thing.
You never talked about sex. You never talked about politics. You never talked about religion.
Yeah, good old days.
And
Dave
my dad,
Chappelle, remember that? So who are you voting for? Dave. I'm talking about fucking my wife in the ass. Or you're asking me all these personal questions.
My dad taught me when I went to vote for the very first time, the thing he told me when we're on our way to the polling station. Voting was a big deal in my house, but we never talked about who we were voting for, because he's like, you don't have to tell anyone who you're voting for. That is your right. It is your thing. You don't feel like you have to defend yourself or say anything to anybody about anything. And
secret ballot.
That stayed with me.
My father always said too. Yeah.
It's a secret ballot for a reason.
Yes,
and that stayed with me. And I don't, I'm not going to post. Well, I don't post at all anymore, but I'm not going to just post repeatedly about, and if somebody mentions, the R word or the D word, I'm not just going to automatically assume what kind of person they are based on that. Like, it's because people are more complex than that.
Yes.
It's not that simple.
There's plenty of smart and good people on both sides.
Yes, there are.
People is now, if you're on the other side, you're just a demon. You are innately evil and you're innately wrong. You will never not be wrong. And it's just like, that's not how the world works.
But you know what? That's how it does to them. And that's why on my old account, before I started this newer Facebook, of course, they're both gone now, but I had so many Republican people drop me and block me just for having conversation. If I questioned them, back then I was a little more vocal. Not very, but if they put something up and I would question, well, what about this, this, and this? And it got to a point where they couldn't even take it. And I wasn't being a dick, but they were like, well, I guess if I can't beat you or I can't make you think the way I think, I'm going to block you. So they did. Now on the other one, I joined the other one with the Dave ZEE, and I'm there, and 80% of the people that I'm friends with are fucking on the left. And one day I put up a joke thing. It was talking about Tom Brady coming to Tampa,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I put this up, and it's a joke. It looked like I was talking about Trump, but at the bottom of the sentence is, and this is why I believe Tom Brady's going to be successful in Tampa Bay. Well, some dude fucking messaged me in the middle of it and fucking blocked me and said, if you're going to talk this way, I forgot what he said. You're a fucking this, you're a Trump supporter, you're this, you're a, cursed me out, said all the shit. I can't talk to you anymore. And they fucking blocked me. And then I was like, hey, you didn't finish the fucking thing. He got back to me and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, this and that. And you know what I said? I didn't say anything to him. I said to myself, well, if this is the type of person you are, I want you to be my friend anyway, so I'm just going to ignore it and we won't be friends.
Thank you for letting me know who you are. It's like that meme
that was
people
Brandon.
put. It's like that meme that people put up with that says, I believe in forced or mandatory vacations, and it was during the pandemic, so not everyone, people who took the time to read didn't, but a lot of people immediately read mandatory vaccinations, and then they would just tear them apart in the comments, and I'm like, well, you look like an idiot because you didn't actually read something before you commented on it. And that just blows my mind. People are so ready, they're so trigger happy, they're so ready to just fly off the handle and tear somebody up that they can't even take the time to really read what they're responding to.
The joys of social media.
Well, and that
there
is the downfall. And I will say that to my grave. That is the reason we're in the position we're in now.
I think I agree. I think I do. I do agree. I got to tell you something though, because it's funny, I'm totally wedging this in, but I meant to open with this and tell you guys about this because this happened to me today. And social media can't be all that bad because look at this beautiful message I got from YouTube today. Hi there. We're reaching out because members of our YouTube community, including fellow creators, viewers, or staff, have expressed concern for your safety or well-being after coming across content you posted with topics related to suicide or self-harm. Your video, I serial killer transmissions, has been flagged. If you or someone you know is experiencing suicidal thinking or self-harming, know there is help and you're not alone. This video was posted 10 fucking years ago.
Oh wow! Oh wow! But they care.
It was made 14 years ago, and it was actually posted as a web series that never took off on my original channel, and that I was trying to do one called I Serial Killers, and it was a transmission that was going to be a video each time, and then you'd vote on the potential victim, which were all like friends of mine that were actors that were going to be in it and whatever. And then I took down the site that was on because one of my friends said, "You're going to get arrested for this." And I'm like, well, if you think it looks that real, then that's good. It's working.
Right.
But then I took it down and I posted it to my more modern site or newer site, which is like 12 years old or 10 years old now. And that's where this thing came from. Out of the blue, I got this message this morning.
That's hilarious. Does it actually, does it talk about self-harm or suicide?
No, it talks about me murdering somebody.
So that doesn't even make any sense.
Anything to fuck with people.
Me, the serial killer within the video just happens to be me playing the role because I couldn't get anybody to act, so I was acting.
I'm just like, so that's just
a convenient excuse.
10 years ago, and I got this. Like, why would they think that this is right to send out? Like, find a helpline. They're trying to be supportive, yet there's no connection. Like 10 years later, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, and if you had been in trouble at the time, it's you're probably past that now. So
I'll tell you, 10 years ago, I used to always say, when are these fucking Republicans? Every time they speak, they put their foot in their mouth. That's what I used to always say like 10 years ago. Now, I'm going to say it about the other side. Every time these fucking, these liberals say and do shit, they put their foot in their mouth now. What the fuck are you people doing to yourselves? Both all of you. Just chill the fuck out. Let people live. Fuck it. Anyway,
I posted this note to our Patreon page. It's so stupid.
Do it.
I can't
I'm never
believe
going
it.
to talk about this stuff again. You're never going to hear me talk about my disparaging, my feelings about organized religion, cults / fucking political parties. Because, like I said, I don't want to hear from their shit, and I always do. I don't want to buy into it and say, well, I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to do it again. That's why I'm here. If anyone has any questions about how I feel about any policies or topics, and they really want to ask me of all people, why would they? I'm happy to ask them. I have nothing to hide. I think I stand for what I think is good and just. But whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to talk
Bill 106. What are your thoughts on Bill 106?
Bill 1. I have no idea what that is.
I thought you said hello sex. I was when the hell is that?
Yeah. Hey, my thoughts.
That's Mike Lindell. That's what he does on the weekends. So when you were talking about Scientology, and I know you're a Leah fan, did you watch the Leah Remini series?
I started. I'm about 3 episodes in, but I'm on Scientology overload. I have to take it slow. I know how bad it is and everything else, but I watched 2 fucking documentaries in a row about it. Now I'm watching the Lee, and I'm getting regurgitated stuff. I wanted to hear her fucking exact story. We haven't gotten into it, but that's okay. I'm still seeing things that are more eye opening. But it's like, yeah, it's a terrible thing, obviously. But whatever. I mean, it's too bad. Luckily, we have horror movies and shit like this to make us happy, is what it's about. And that's what the show's supposed to be about. Fucking sharing horror movies and experiences and movies and things that we love. But people want to bring their politics into their fucking podcasts. Guess what? I'm doing it, and not anymore. That's it. That's the last I'm going to say on the subject. It's just that I've been watching all these cult things lately, and I'm like, holy fuck. Everybody's in cults that I think are smart people. I can no longer call people that are intelligent, that are card-carrying members of the extreme right or the extreme left. They can't be intelligent to me because they can't see fucking that's just something that's so obvious in the manipulation that's happening on both sides. But Anyway, enough of it, right? Enough of that.
Well, I try not to. Sometimes we'll get into discussions on our show, and it'll just be discussions between the two of us, but I end up, chopping out huge chunks of it because I really try not to interject any kind of politics into our show because that's not what it's about. It's about horror
Right.
movies and, people.
Well, that's always been my mantra for years. Keep your shit to yourself. Whatever it
Amen.
is.
You're right.
Your beliefs, your sexual orientation, your ideas on, whatever the hell. They're fine. I mean, thankfully, we're not in a country or where you can have thought crimes, but just shut up. Live your life. Be happy. Don't be a dick to other people, and that's fine. I mean, that should be your religion. Just leave people alone.
Yeah,
Everything I
man.
need to know about how to treat people, I learned in kindergarten.
Yeah. Be nice.
Right the fuck on. Well, before we go, we have to do our spin. 1965 to 2014.
Oh, yeah. What is
All right,
going to be the lucky year?
I'm gonna do it right now.
The
Let's
next
see
year of the year.
what came up.
Ooh, 77.
77.
Oh,
Okay,
we already did Suspiria.
should be interesting. We're gonna see what comes out in 77. We don't have the time now to go through it all and make our guesses, but we will. Hopefully, Brandon will be back at that show. If not, who knows? Who knows? Maybe these guys will be here again, or somebody else, because,
Well, we're always happy to join you on Politics Cast. It was,
yeah, action movie.
Politics, Scott Adkins, and we talked a little about horror. We went a little horror in there.
And I had all
the whole
planned.
system.
I was going to do Fangorias. I was going to read out of my Fango.
Oh, that's what
I
I
was
was going to say. I meant to
I
tell
know.
you that last week is I really missed that segment on the show. And
Me too.
I know not everyone loved it, but
Well, just Christian and Brandon didn't love it. Everyone else didn't love it.
We're
I
yeah,
busting
but
his
who
balls.
cares about them?
And I can't believe, it was a totally original segment that we came up with on the show. And that was it, undead male.
Yeah, but I had a better way. My method was better. It wasn't just a mail. It was all.
Well, and you stopped in the middle of a saga. There, with the letters to the editor, there was a whole thing going on, and then
See? Oh,
and you
I got to
kinda
get
left
back
me
on it.
hanging.
He's
gonna
got to
get
get
back
back
on.
to it.
I want to do that, and I was going to have a discussion on a controversial thing because I always talk about it. 1990s slashers, because we were talking about it last show, and I got to thinking. I wonder if the slashers that came out in the 90s compared to the slashers that came out in the 2010s, which nobody talks about. I wonder if the 90s are actually better than the fucking ones we saw in the 10s. And I wanted to go through the ones that were released and really give it a good look-see. But we didn't get a chance to do it this time. So,
That would actually be an interesting topic of conversation.
Yeah.
yeah. So next time we'll do it.
Did we do 77? No, I guess because I feel like we've talked about the Hills of Eyes on the
No, we
show recently.
No, we never talked about The Hills Have
Yeah, we
Eyes as a
have.
review, have we?
Yeah.
Or maybe we
have because we talked about because we talked about an Arrow released a new version and I couldn't get over the costumes in it and whatever it was like last year, I swear. We've done Suspiria, so there are other options.
There are.
But we're talking, and we did Orca. So someone must have picked 77 because we've done Orca. I know we did the Suspiria and we did that with I can't remember what that was paired up with, and the Hills of Eyes. So
we've never done
got
House. House Sue.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it. I've owned it for years and I still haven't watched it. So I might pick that. You got Kingdom of the
House-
Spiders. You got fucking that other movie, Day of the Animals. Eraserhead, which I've always been afraid to watch, but I don't think I will be afraid to watch it.
Audrey
anymore.
Rose.
Audrey Rose.
I feel why does this year sound familiar?
Well, we did Audrey Rose on ABC's this season.
We sure
so,
did. Yep.
I
We
don't
also
know.
did, no, that was Patreon when we did the Day of the Animals.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
We did
Rabbit
the William
is on
Girdler
there?
double feature.
The Sentinel. Are we? This wasn't a year.
No,
76
Sentinel was just paired up in the early days with something that was
Yeah, we
similar
did
to
Sentinel
it.
already. We didn't do
someone-
Rabbit, so I mean, I feel
Nope.
like that's going to be my pick.
Yeah, there's lots of good ones. There's enough to pick. You know what I mean? So there's
Well, there
Rabbit.
should be.
There's Spectre, Shockwaves, Satan's Cheerleader, Ruby Rituals. Yeah.
I
I'll probably
love
pick House.
Shockwaves.
Really?
Nazi
I've never
zombies
seen
are
it.
the best.
Nazi zombies. Wow.
Kathy's Curse. Didn't that go by a different name? There's Kathy's Curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's
There's some-
Rituals. I bet that will be Darren's pick.
Huh? Rituals.
We just saw that
Rituals.
again recently.
Rituals.
Who's
Yeah.
Darren?
Brandon. Did I say Darren?
Didn't he say Darren, or am I fucking losing my mind?
I think he
I
said
might
Darren.
have. I've got one of my good friends.
That'll
is
be
Darren.
Darren.
He always looks like a Darren.
Darren, Brandon. Guy ain't here.
Oh, the car is from
It's
77.
Pennsylvania.
Ooh, that would
Yeah,
be
the
good.
car. I like the car. Yeah. So there
Yeah,
you go.
there's
We
some
got
good
some
ones
Oh,
choices.
there.
Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
Ooh, that's good.
I
Oh
do
my
have
God.
fun with it.
I love it.
I
but
tried
not
watching
for the
that.
reasons you should.
Oh, it's so bad.
great when
It
you're
is
high.
So bad. Oh,
It's fun.
Rituals.
bad
I
for
the
wanted to
ants.
do that one is on Shudder. By the way, that's actually that was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that movie.
maybe
Oh,
I'll
we
pick
got-
something other than Rabid to try something new.
Maybe I won't pick Houseu. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll pick something fun. Right. You know, something different.
There's some good ones to pick.
I'm telling
That's
you,
it. Cool.
shockwaves, underwater Nazi zombies.
What the
That
fuck?
would be
That's,
fun to pair with Dead Snow.
Yes, it would.
I've never seen Dead Snow either, actually. Based on what I hear, I don't think it's my kind of film. I think it's goofy comedy shit. And it's
Oh,
not
Dave,
my-
here's one for you. The Uncanny. It's a horror anthology all about cats.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
From this year?
it's from 77. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's it.
Watch
I'm watching. Well, I don't need a fucking reason besides, well, Cats is one major reason, but an anthology. You know what I mean?
I would not say Dead Snow is goofy. It does.
It's a horror
It
comedy,
does
but
have
it's not
comedy,
goofy.
but it's not. It's definitely delivers on the gore. A lot of it is played straight, and
I love that brain ripping
And there
out
is
scene.
there's a guy who is a really big horror fan, and he makes a lot of horror references, but not in an obnoxious way. I think it's in a cool way. I love that movie.
Yes.
To me, it's,
Nice.
I mean, how can you get more evil than
Nazi
Nazis?
zombies.
Yeah, that is like the
That's
ultimate
cool.
evil. So,
Nazi zombies are the best zombies ever.
yeah.
Well, I own the Uncanny somehow, so I'm gonna.
Nazi zombies must die. There's a good amount there. Demon Seed even.
Oh, that's a good one. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, but like it feels like it was a while ago.
Dean Koontz,
Demon
I believe, wrote it. This
We
house
talked
gets
about this.
this house gets a brand new computer system. It controls everything,
Yes.
and then it starts fixating on the woman, the wife.
Ooh, that's like the reverse of This House Possessed with is it Dak Rambo? No, I don't think it's Dak Rambo. Who's that? But there's a rock star and he rents a house. I think it was a TV movie. He rents a house and the house is controlled by this sentient computer thing. Only
Huh.
it gets jealous of the nurse that moves in with him to help him because he's on like a mental break, and it falls in love with him and it tries to kill anybody who gets in its way.
Kinda.
Wasn't
But,
that a Disney movie in the fucking 90s about a computer
no.
that ran the house?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
This one
Isn't
was
that the one
from
where Gary Coleman gets hit by lightning, and he's like the whiz kid?
Jimmy the Kid? No, I don't know.
No, there was a Gary Coleman Disney movie where he got struck by lightning. That's all I remember.
Really? Wow.
Well, there's a good amount to pick, and some that I've never seen before. I remember wanting to love The Incredible Melting Man just by the title, and I think the fact that Rick Baker did the effects, and it's an incredibly boring movie.
Yeah, great effects. Yeah, movie.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Parker Stevenson who plays the rock star in This House Possessed. It's from 1981. It also has Lisa Eilbacher.
Oh yeah, her.
Yeah, from Leviathan.
don't know.
The
Oh,
hot
okay.
chick in Leviathan.
I'm down with
I don't
those
remember
cats.
names.
You can see that cat movie on Tubi and on fucking Voodoo. I might watch
What's
that.
the
I
matter
might
with all
pick-
these cats?
Yeah, exactly. Is it long? The
Well-
Uncanny. If it's a 2-hour movie, I'm gonna say no. But if it's like a regular length movie, I'm gonna pick it just because it's about cats and it's easy to watch. The Uncanny 77. Where's the running time? Hour 29. Bet. That's my
Done.
fucking pick. Yeah, that's fucking it, man. Nice. And Smart House. Smart House is the name of that Disney movie that came out in 1999. Disney
Oh.
Channel original. Yeah, the kid builds a computer that runs his house and shit, and then it gets crazy, and they had to
importantly-
fight up against it. Yeah.
More importantly, which one's the one with Gary?
I don't know.
Isn't
I
it
can't-
WizKid? Isn't that what it's called?
Oh, maybe it's
or kid with
Whiz-
the 100 IQ? No, 200 IQ, or I don't know, something like that.
Wasn't he an angel in one movie? He had a halo over his
Yeah,
head?
Angels in the Outfield, was it? It was
No,
a baseball.
No, this is
he
just
wasn't a
Gary
baseball
Coleman.
player.
This is
Oh.
Gary Coleman. He was carrying a computer and gets
Oh,
struck
like
by lightning.
wasn't it called like Heavenly Kid or something like that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was Heavenly Kid.
You might be
Jimmy
right.
the Kid was one of my favorites. I used to watch that when I was a kid a lot.
Was it Ghost Dad?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
good.
I gotta watch it. Oh, I watched UHF. I gotta save it for next show. But I
Oh,
did watch
save-
UHF.
yes.
I'll save
Was
it 'cause
that
we're
a
running
first
out of
time watch for you?
Yes, and him and
I
Brandon.
love UHF.
I saw that
It's
in the
funny.
theater.
Thumbs up or down, Dave? That's all I need to know.
Oh
right
no,
now.
thumbs up, thumbs up.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
gonna say I'd be shocked if it was a thumbs down.
There you go. The kid with the 2000 IQ, the Fantastic
Okay.
World of DC Comics, Jimmy the Kid, 1982. The kid with a broken halo. I knew there was a halo.
2 years old. Wow.
On the right track. Scout's Honor. Hello, Larry. Oh, that's a TV show. The Kid from Left Field. Is that why you had a baseball fucking thing? in
Maybe
there?
that was it.
Interesting.
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
that was his run of movies. Playing with Fire. Yeah, and then after that he was just TV shows and shit. Until later on in life when he was in a classic known as what the fuck did they say? Oh yeah. Midgets versus Mascots, 2009.
Oh, that is a classic.
Amazing.
Wow.
Oh.
Does anyone get
Okay.
raped?
There you go. That could have your midget rape in it.
That could be it. Wow. You know who'd love that? Matt Wiesel, because he's afraid of midgets. You know?
And he
Wow.
wants to rape them?
Well, he'd like to see one abused or raped somehow. You know, and abuse is too bad. You know? Rape is one thing.
Or if anybody makes it to the end of this show.
Yeah, I know. But
Wow. Sweet justice. We went off the rails.
it-
That's what a BS show's all about.
it's a high note ending, though, at least. You know, at least we're cracking wise. We're not talking about politics no more or anything else crazy. So,
Okay.
so yeah, guys, Jamie and Brian, thanks again. Fucking
Mhm.
lots of fun.
Yeah, I
Yes,
do
the
love how we
regulars.
go all over the place.
Yeah, your listeners might not, but I enjoy it.
Hey, fuck them. No. No, we love you guys.
You heard it here first, everybody. Fuck 'em.
We love you guys. Thanks for the kind words of support. Thanks for everybody messaging me and telling me to watch X because I must have got 4 or 5 messages. Everyone
Same.
saying you got to see X, and I'm like, damn. I
Have you
chose
seen
against
it yet?
No, I was gonna go to the movies maybe today, but I decided last night to order takeout, and the $30 I spent on takeout would have been the money I spent to go to the movies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't do it all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
can
I wanted
relate.
to go see Uma
know.
this weekend.
I don't think
and
it's
Uma.
playing anywhere around
It's
us.
playing at MJR.
Really?
Yeah, it just started this weekend.
Oh,
I wanted to
maybe
go see
that's
it, but I don't. Gotta wait.
I heard. Well, Kate told me that Mia gets naked in it. I didn't know that. So now I
Yeah.
got.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of nudity, and she's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for Mia. Yeah. So anyway,
Maybe my wife and son could go see the Batman, and I'll go see X because
buddy,
I have no interest to see a 3-hour Batman movie.
It's really good.
It is
Everybody's
fucking
blowing it,
awesome.
though.
I'm not a big superhero fan, but I love that movie. I thought it was
Yeah,
excellent.
It was great.
Okay.
Brittany
That's what
Snow
I've
gets
heard.
naked a lot,
Wow.
and if you're a Brittany
Oh,
Snow
nice.
fan, she
Not
gets
in the
naked a lot
Batman.
in X. No, in X.
Oh really? I can't remember who Brittany Snow is. Maybe
She
when I
was
see
the
her.
girl in the Prom Night remake.
Never saw it. I skipped.
But
the
don't
shit
hold
too
that
much.
against her.
Damn, I don't know. I bet I know her if I saw her though. Brittany Snow. No, it's funny because Frankie's like, "Hey, you guys want to go see them?" And she doesn't like superheroes at all, but she keeps hearing good things. She goes, "You want to go see the Batman?" She goes, "I go see it at the movies, but I don't want to watch it at home." And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I was gonna go to the movies, it was gonna be X, so I can't do that. You know, like I really want to see X, so I'm gonna wait on all of it. What are you gonna do? It's okay.
No.
So anyway, we do have to go. I know Christian's got things going on. It's Sunday, you know. So
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you guys coming back again last
Yeah,
minute.
thank
so
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
thank you.
no, we had such a good time the last time, and I was really excited to to talk to you guys again. Just because, like I said, most of the time we're just talking to each other. So
And that gets boring.
it's always fun to talk to new people. Well, not new people. I know you guys, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we had a good time, so I was really looking forward to just a whole show of just whatever the fuck we felt like, and I think we accomplished that.
Right on.
Awesome.
Okay, so we'll see you guys all next time. And 1977, that's all we can tell you. Hopefully Brandon is back. If not, we will do our best to have somebody else join us. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, April is here. So we're getting closer to episode 200. So that's another story. We got to do something about that, people. Should we make it official? I don't know.
Oh shit, I got to do my list.
We may as well make it official.
It's
we got
official.
plenty of time. Have the list to me by fucking Labor Day. How's that? To the end of September you get, or the beginning of September.
Oh,
Plenty
I
of time.
can do that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jamie and Brian, again. Christian, sorry we held you up so long. We got to go.
fine.
It's Sunday.
No problem.
We all got shit to do. But love you guys, and we will see you.